I was reborn in the third year of my marriage to He Mingshu. This was also the last year he loved me, because soon after, he would meet the true love of his life. For that woman, he didn't hesitate to take on the entire He family, pressured my parents, and ultimately drove my family's company into the ground. He pushed my parents to suicide, and my brothers and sisters were all cornered with no way out. As for me, I jumped into the ICC with my unborn child. In this life, I've given up the fight. I don't want anything anymore. I don't want He Mingshu anymore. All I ask is to ensure the Shin family's safety for a lifetime. The spring morning sunlight is always so beautiful that I almost forget what it feels like to have it on my skin. I gazed at He Mingshu's sleeping face, young and handsome, with that sharp jawline that had always been my favorite feature, so ruthless, just like the way he dealt with my Shin family, showing no regard for past ties, utterly merciless and heartless. Even if I were willing to sign the divorce papers and hand over the position of Mrs. He to Yin Yao, yet he still didn't stop. He is determined to drive every single member of my Shin family, every last one of them, to their deaths, one by one. Only then did he feel that no one could ever hurt his Yao Yao, his beloved. Why didn't you wake me when you got up? I'll make you breakfast. He Ming merely opened his eyes a slit, wrapped one arm around me, and gently kissed my forehead. His kisses are always gentle. Even when we made love, he held himself back with great restraint. He always says he's afraid of hurting me, but such a good person. In the end, didn't even look back as I ran after his car, falling and covering myself in bruises. All I wanted was to beg him to spare my Shin family. He didn't stop the car. He didn't care that I fell on the road, bloodied and battered, with large patches of skin scraped off my arms and calves. You see, when he loves someone, he is gentle to the extreme. When love ends, they become crueler than a stranger. I'm not hungry. He Mingshu keenly sensed that something was off with me, and he propped himself up to sit upright. Cup my face in your hands. What's wrong with my Schwer? Did I go too far last night? Are you mad? He looked at me with a teasing smile, his deep eyes seeming to see only me. I haven't been able to sleep since I regained the memory of my rebirth early this morning. Childhood sweethearts unaware of time's passage. A naive girl gently touches the stirrings of love. It has always reaffirmed my certainty that I am deeply in love with this person before me, but not anymore. I no longer dare to love. The cost of loving him is too high. I can't bear it anymore. I looked straight into his eyes, which were glinting with amusement, and said word by word, let's get divorced. 2. He Ming was still teasing me even as he headed to the office. It must be because he couldn't hold back last night and was too rough, making me angry. That's why she would joke about divorce with him so early in the morning. I sat alone at the table, staring at the huge breakfast he had made, without the slightest appetite. If it were before, I would have eaten them all. He Mingshu's culinary skills were excellent, cultivated by his mother since childhood, also that someday they could make me a different style of breakfast every day. The He and Shin families had been business partners for many years and were also neighbors. My mom and Mrs. He started off at odds with each other, but later became the closest of friends, sharing everything. Even after they both had children, they were already discussing whether to arrange a childhood betrothal, but in the end, both of them gave up, saying that they would prioritize the children's wishes and would never force them. He Mingshu was 3 years older than me, the only son of the He family. When his mother was kidnapped during her pregnancy, it was my mother, Chen Yen, who risked her life to rescue her. He Mu felt extremely guilty about the conflicts that had occurred between them before and kept expressing her apologies. My mom, on the other hand, is a carefree woman. She waved her hand dismissively, saying that all those past incidents were just her being magnanimous and letting his mother have her way. This remark amused his mother, and from then on, the two gradually grew closer. I'm not alone like He Mingshu. I still have my eldest brother, Shen, and my second sister, Shen Tingwan. They are all incredibly kind to me, always finding a way to bring me the finest things, no matter where in the world they are. Yet, such good people ended up dying in ways more tragic than the last. In this world, the hardest thing to measure is the human heart. I will not let these tragedies happen again, absolutely not. 3. It was almost noon by the time I drove home. Dad is definitely at the office at this hour. Usually only Mom is at home, but unexpectedly, Mom wasn't home, but second sister was. At this time of year, she's usually traveling around the world on business trips. Shen Tingwan hurried over to me. Schwer, why are you back so suddenly? Big sis missed you so much. Let me see if you've gained a little weight. You've got some dark circles. Tell your big sis all your worries, and I'll take care of them for you. Did that bastard He Mingshu bully you? Don't be afraid, just tell me what happened, and I'll take care of him for you. Shen Tingwan is 5 years older than me, Already a career powerhouse who can share the burden of our father's business. I wrapped my arms around Shen Tingwan and buried my face in her shoulder, not letting her see the tears I could barely hold back. Sis, I've missed you so much too. In my past life, the last time I saw you was in the morgue. You lie there, cold and alone, with no one daring to claim your body. Your body is covered in wounds, but the fatal one is a gaping hole where your heart should be. I don't know what you've been through. Your face could only be described as completely unrecognizable. Were it not for the birthmark that we sisters have known since childhood, I couldn't recognize you at all. Shen Tingwan, my sister Shen Tingwan is so beautiful and confident that she is admired and pursued by countless people. In the end, he ended up lying alone in this cold, eerie place. I can't accept this. Shen Tingwan should stand at the pinnacle of the world, revered and admired by all. Rather than that shouldn't have been the ending. I bit my lip and forced back the tears. My resolve grew even stronger. Sister, in this life, I will definitely protect you. For Shen Tingwan probably thought I was delirious from a fever, so she kept feeling my forehead. Only after confirming that I was perfectly fine did she finally relax, but that remark clearly made Shen Tingwan overjoyed. She excitedly shared my words on her moments. Family group chats, work groups, and all sorts of social platforms, and at everyone come. Check this out, look, my precious Schwer said she'll protect me for life. Do you have that, huh, do you? Hey, I'm just posting this to make you jealous. All sorts of onlookers chimed in with comments. A user with a wolf avatar and the single character name he commented, what do you mean yours? That's my precious. Mine. This is He Mingshu's social media account. Seeing me staring blankly at that comment, Shen Tingwan grinned slyly. Look at him, acting like someone's trying to steal his bone. TSK. What a dog. Shen Tingwan had always found He Mingshu insufferable. And as children, they even got into many physical fights. It always ended only after I was scared into tears. In the past, whenever Shen Tingwan called He Mingshu a scumbag, I would feel displeased inside. They might even talk back a little, but now, I feel nothing inside. Shen Tingwan was still basking in the happiness of my promise to protect her forever. When I directly told her that I was planning to divorce He Mingshu, she was surprised. He kept asking me repeatedly if I was serious. She had seen how, as a young girl, I chased after He Mingshu, endlessly talking about him with her day after day. You have witnessed my student days, my romance and marriage, every single moment of my life concerning He Mingshu, and now yet I must end this love that has been etched into my bones since youth. How could this not surprise her? You're serious, Cher. Shen Tingwan saw that I wasn't joking. She touched my face. Alright. I don't know what's going on with you, and I won't ask, as long as it's a decision made by our Schwer. Big sister will support you. Big sister will help you. 5. I only found out later that Dad had taken Mom on a trip abroad, and all the company matters were temporarily handed over to my eldest brother and second sister. After finishing our conversation, Shen Tingwan went back to her room alone and had a long phone call with her parents. I don't know what they said, but Shen Tingwan clearly breathed a sigh of relief after coming out of the room. She walked over to me with a smile and told me that my parents already knew I wanted a divorce. They will first discuss this matter with He Mingshu's parents, and then proceed with our divorce. But Mom said we're not kids anymore. Once a decision is made, there's no turning back. I know, no matter how willful I am, or how many shocking things I do that leave others dumbfounded, my family will always support me unconditionally, take care of things for me, and clean up any mess I make. In my past life, I wronged them. I'm sorry, it was my mistake to love the wrong person, which led to this series of tragedies in this life. Let me protect them well. Please give me a chance to make it up to you. As for He Mingshu, my connection with him ended in the previous life. When love hurts, let it go. Shen Tingxue, who once loved He Mingshu, has sunk into the deep sea with their unborn baby. Now, Shen Tingxue only loves herself and her family. She won't, and dares not, fall in love with anyone else again. 6. I called He Mingshu to tell him that I would be staying at home for a while. He Ming initially refused, but changed his mind after receiving a phone call from his parents. The panic in his voice was unmistakable when he called again. Shue, Schwer, Shen Tingxue, listen to me. Don't make any decisions when you're angry. Okay, you want to stay at home, fine, stay as long as you like, do whatever you want, but please don't make any rash decisions. Wait until I come over and talk to you face to face. I don't know what I did wrong, but at least give me a chance to explain. Don't just sentence me to death like this without a hearing. Okay, please. Shue, are you listening? It's okay if you don't say anything, just listen to me. I'll finish everything today, and then I'll take you out to have some fun. Okay, I held up my phone, remaining silent for a long time. He seemed to say something else, but I didn't catch it. In a daze, I recalled that time when I begged him the same way I've called him so many times, 10, 20, or 100 in the end. I couldn't even remember, but he never answered a single call. I called from dawn till dusk, tirelessly dialing who knows how many times, until he finally answered. The moment he picked up, his voice was extremely impatient. Something up? I haven't eaten anything or had a single sip of water all day. My throat is so dry and hoarse that it's beyond words, but I couldn't care less about that. I cleared my throat and said humbly, Ming-Shu, you know my dad's company is in trouble, right? I'm really at my wit's end now. I know, it was me. I had already guessed some of it before, but when I finally learned the truth, I still went limp. I collapsed onto the ground in despair, letting tears stream down my face in heavy drops. Why would you do this? I swear my family never wronged you in any way. They watched you grow up. Why did you have to do this to them? Enough. If you're going to talk about this, I'm hanging up. Shoo, go back to sleep. It's no one, just someone unimportant. Ming's next gentle coaxing was clearly not meant for me. I understood it in an instant. Is it that my family did something to Yin Yao? I can explain. They didn't mean it. They were just trying to stand up for me. If you want revenge, take it out on me alone, please. I've never asked you for anything before, brother Ming-Shu. For the sake of growing up together, don't deliver a death blow to my father's company, okay? Ming-Shu, are you listening? Hello, please don't hang up. I don't remember what else I said after that, just the hollow beep beep on the other end of the line. Not long after that phone call, Mom texted me, saying she and Dad had taken care of everything and told me not to worry. Let me listen to my brothers and sisters, saying that I will always be the little princess she holds dear in the palm of her hand. She only wishes for me to live a carefree life, untouched by all the worldly troubles. That alone would be her greatest contentment. I had a nagging feeling that something was off, so I rushed back to the Shin residence that very night. The house was brightly lit, just as it always was, but gone was the sight of Mom binge-watching idle dramas in the living room, and Dad, who used to sit nearby watching financial news while stealing glances at her from time to time. Neither of them is here. I walked all the way upstairs, and my parents' room was open, but there was no one in the room either. Yet an unusual scent lingered in the air. Before this, I had no idea that a person could bleed so much. I'd been too sheltered, naive to the point of stupidity. So much blood. Mom and Dad fell hand in hand onto the cold bathroom floor. There was blood everywhere, not even a spot to step on. I stared numbly as people came and went through my house, preparing my parents' bodies. Someone was speaking to me, but I felt as if I were trapped in a vacuum, only able to see their mouths opening and closing, but couldn't hear a single sound. I came to my senses and only then noticed the call was still going. Ming-Shu was still talking, and it had already been over an hour. The image of blood all over the bathroom floor flashed through my mind again. I let my phone slip from my hand, and it hit the ground with a heavy thud. 7. I stayed at home for a week, and Shen Tingwan kept me company every day. He doesn't even go to the company anymore. On the 8th day, Mom, Dad, and my older brother Shani all came back. The moment Mom walked in, she hurried over to me and pulled me into her arms. My sweet child, as long as you come back, that's all that matters. This will always be your safe haven, no matter if my little girl is in pain or tired. As long as you look back, your home is always right here, and we are always here. Come home, child. My mother's warm and steady embrace broke the last of my resolve, and I couldn't hold back the overwhelming tears anymore. Sobbing loudly in her arms, how I wish I could tell her, no, our home and you all, he's gone, you're all gone. How can an empty house be called a home? Through blurry tears, I saw Shen Tingwan looking at me with a pained and sorrowful expression. Dad and Shani sighed on the side. Shani walked over and patted me on the back. TSK, my little sister is still such a delicate flower. How old are you now? Still crying in Mom's arms. Shame on you. Mom pretended to be angry and gave Shani a slap. Your sister's upset, and you're still teasing her. Shen Tingwan deliberately fanned the flames on the side. Exactly, no wonder this clueless bro can't get a girlfriend. He deserves it. Mom, go beat him up. Mom simply beat up both my older brother and sister together. Two high-ranking executives, usually all serious and proper at the office, were hopping around at home yelling ouch, ouch, as their mom whacked them. The scene was absolutely hilarious. I burst out laughing with a pfft. Shani, clutching his butt after a few slaps, said, Mom, little sis finally laughed. Haven't you hit enough? Even if your hand doesn't hurt, My butt sure does. You're a grown adult. Can't you at least act decent in front of your two younger sisters? Mother feels frustrated that I'm not living up to her expectations. Alright, that's enough. Your mom just got better, so don't give her a hard time. Dad, who had been standing by watching us mess around, finally spoke up the moment Dad spoke. His siblings, who were terrified of him, immediately froze. Mom is sick. Since when? How did she get sick? I hurriedly went to check on Mom. Mom hugged me and shot Dad a playful, reproachful glance. Didn't I tell you not to say that? She stroked my hair and whispered softly, don't listen to your father. I'm fine, it's just a minor issue, a couple of 4 drips and I'll be good as new. Seeing that I didn't believe her, Shen Tingwan comforted me. After I called Mom that day, she rushed to come back. Maybe she was too anxious and suddenly fainted. Later, she had to stay in the hospital for a few days before being discharged. The moment she got out, she hurried back to see you. The doctor said it wasn't serious, just that she was overwhelmed and too emotionally worked up. It was my fault for not being clear on the phone that day. Mom thought something had happened to you. I explained it clearly to her later, so she waited until she felt better to be discharged. Shani said, don't worry. We've got your back. The reason we came back this time is for you. Have you really made up your mind? I looked at Shen Tingwan, who was smiling at me, at my dignified and steady father, and at Shani, who was earnestly waiting for my answer. Finally, I turned to my mother, who was looking at me with a loving smile. I nodded solemnly. I am absolutely certain. I have truly made up my mind to divorce He Mingshu. Shani nodded. All right. I've already drawn up dozens of plans at the company over the past few days for negotiating the divorce with the He family. Our two families have had a long-standing partnership. Without compromising our cooperation, I have proposed these most reasonable terms for the divorce. Little sister, we can handle all these matters for you, but you'll need to talk to He Mingshu yourself. Shen Tingwan hesitated for a moment, then took my hand and said, Swear, I haven't told you this these past few days, but that bastard, that He family kid has been standing under your window every night for a long time, probably the whole night, the grounds littered with cigarette butts. I remember he never used to smoke. He must really be heartbroken. Don't blame me for being nosy, but if there's any misunderstanding between you two, I think it's better to clear the air. Even if you're going to get a divorce, at least do it with total clarity, no loose ends. What do you think, sis? Thank you, I know what to do. I think there are indeed some things I need to say to He Mingshu in person, to prevent him from harboring grudges against our Shen family again for some unknown reason in the future. 8. A bustling commercial street. I was sitting by the window in a well-known cake shop by the roadside, waiting for He Mingshu to arrive. Hello, here's your rose lychee milk crepe and rainflower blossom. Enjoy your meal. Thank you. The shop assistant gave me a sweet smile, then turned around and hurried off to get cake for another customer. I watched her retreating figure, brimming with youthful vitality. I think if I had to make the choice, I would also pick this vibrant, blossoming woman just like He Mingshu did. Swear, I turned around and was a little surprised to see He Mingshu. He Mingshu always cared a lot about his appearance. His suits couldn't have a single wrinkle. Because of that, he had fired several housekeepers, especially in his past life. After he got together with Yin Yao, he would even meticulously coordinate the color of his tie every single day. Now, He Mingshu's hair was disheveled, his stubble unkempt, and his custom-tailored suit looked as wilted as sun-dried pickled vegetables. He noticed my eyes lingering on his clothes, glanced down, and let out a frustrated curse under his breath. He reached out to take my hand, but I pulled away just before he could touch me. I put my hands under the table and didn't look at him anymore. Alright, I won't touch you. Don't be mad. Can I sit down? He Mingshu asked so cautiously that I couldn't help but superimpose his image over the sinister and terrifying version of him from my past life. Shen Tingxue, I won't let a single member of the Shen family off the hook, including you. If you dare bully Yao Yao again, I'll break your hands. Shen Tingxue, you should have died with the Shen family. In my ears, the chilling, gnashing voice of He Mingshu still seemed to echo. I jumped to my feet, my legs slammed hard into the corner of the table, making my eyes sting with tears. Seeing this, He Mingshu grabbed my arm and crouched down to massage my leg. I stepped back, leaving his hand frozen in midair. He Mingshu did not move, nor did he look up. I didn't see his expression either. I suppressed my emotions and desperately told myself to stop dwelling on the past. I'm fine, no need to rub my leg. He Mingshu said nothing, slowly rising to his feet. He was already more than a head taller than me, and when he looked down at me with a blank expression, the pressure was overwhelming. His shadow loomed over me like a dark, suffocating weight, as if there was no escaping this nightmare. I couldn't stop my body from trembling. You're afraid of me. I felt something was off about you since that morning. Shinting Shue. Why, I want to know why too. Why were you so ruthless in dealing with my Shin family in the past life? I'd asked countless times, until I grew weary, until I grew numb, until I even doubted myself. Why must I insist on an answer? The Shin family is no more. Even if I knew the answer, so what? Can my family come back? It no longer makes sense. So, what difference does it make even if you know now? I know I was being extreme. The blood debts owed by He Mingshu in the past life shouldn't be paid by He Mingshu in this life, but I can no longer love him with the same wholehearted abandon as before. The rift has long since taken root. Sooner or later, we'll end up just like in our past life. He'll hate me to the bone, and it'll be a fight to the death. He Mingshu. Some people are just never meant to end up together, like you and me. Divorce is for the best for both of us. Let go. I dodged him. I should return to the path I'm meant to follow. Unexpectedly, He Mingshu grabbed my arm tightly and yanked me over. Won't it last until the end? Divorce. Let me tell you, Shinting Shue, from the moment you married me, the word divorce was never an option. He leaned in close to me, and I could clearly see the bloodshot veins in his eyes. He Mingshu looked as if he was grinding his teeth, ready to devour me in the next second. I admit, I am truly afraid of him. In my past life, He Mingshu made me love him to the extreme, hate him to the extreme, and in the end, fear him to the extreme. I dared not gamble on what this madman might do next. I saw the fear on my own face reflected in his eyes, froze for a moment, then turned my head away. He Mingshu saw it too and loosened his grip a bit, but he still didn't let go of me. Sir, please don't be so rude to a lady, otherwise, I'll call the police. Sir, this voice. I saw a girl in a cake shop employee uniform grabbing He Mingshu's sleeve and yelling at him to let go. I saw a distinct flicker of surprise in He Mingshu's eyes. I tilted my head slightly to look at the girl who had just brought me cake and tea. She was the treasure that He Mingshu had cherished and protected with utmost care in his past life. He Niao. 9. Their eyes met on a bustling, vibrant street, transcending time and space. Lovers destined to be together will always reunite, and I am nothing more than a pitiful clown who just happens to stand in their way. This three-person farce is finally coming to an end, and it's time for me, the clown, to take my leave. Today I chose to meet He Mingshu here, precisely so he could see the one he loves, because I investigated in my previous life. He Mingshu met Yin Yao, who was working part-time at this cake shop. Just look at how serendipity works in human connections. I've known He Mingshu for over 20 years, yet I was defeated by Yin Yao, whom he had only known for a little over 20 days. How ridiculous am I? I even foolishly thought I could break them apart after He Mingshu and Yin Yao got together. I overestimated myself, taking a 50 million yuan check to persuade Yin Yao to leave He Mingshu, only to be utterly humiliated. She refused. Yin Yao couldn't care less about the 50 million. She said not everyone in this world is obsessed with money. She was only after love. She simply liked He Mingshu. That very night, He Mingshu found out about it. His gaze was as cold as frost, and his eyes were fierce as he warned me that Yin Yao was innocent and naive, telling me not to use dirty tricks to hurt her. In all these years, this is the first time I've heard He Mingshu speak to me in such a frigid tone. A sharp, stabbing pain filled my heart. But I know He Mingshu. I know there's nothing I can change anymore. He was truly head over heels for Yin Yao, and now that I've found him the love of his life, won't his resentment toward our Shin family lessen a lot? I closed my eyes and looked at He Mingshu. Let go, you'll hurt her. He Mingshu asked in confusion. What? I don't want to waste any more words. I pulled his hand away, then used it to draw Yin Yao into his embrace. I raised my hands to show that I hadn't even touched a single thread of Yin Yao's clothes. Please, stop doubting that I would ever hurt her. Yin Yao was puzzled by my actions, but when she looked up at the tall man shielding her, a delicate blush crept across her fair cheeks. I've given it all back to you. Everything's returned. We're even now. Heaven above, I swear I will never harm Yin Yao. Should I so much as hurt a single hair on her head, may I die a violent death, my body torn asunder, and may my soul never find reincarnation for all eternity. He Mingshu froze. He pushed Yin Yao aside and walked toward me. What's wrong with you? Do you even know what you're saying? Come back with me. I shook my head and stepped back a few paces. Flashes of scenes seemed to replay before my eyes again. I covered them, forcing myself to stop thinking about it. Those things are in the past now. There's still time for everything. They're all still here. I'm not too late. Schwer. In a daze, I felt like the whole world was spinning. I fell to the ground. It seemed like a lot of people were walking toward me, it seemed, and also Himingshu 10. Doctor, how is it? Has the patient recently experienced any serious incidents, like being persecuted by someone or getting into a major car accident? Shen Yi and Shen Tingwan exchanged a glance, both seeing shock in each other's eyes. Shen Tingwan said, no, I've never heard my sister mention anything like that. Besides, her social circle is very simple. Just families or business partners we know. As for a car accident, that's even more impossible. Shen Yi said, that's right, Dr. Who, please be more straightforward. What exactly is wrong with my little sister? Dr. Who took a soft breath and murmured, that doesn't make sense. He explained, here's the thing, we ran a full battery of tests on the patient, and her body is perfectly healthy, with absolutely no physical illness. The sickness is in her mind. She has severe psychological trauma. In professional terms, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. This generally refers to a psychological disorder that develops after an individual experiences or witnesses one or more actual deaths involving themselves or others. You can look up the specifics of this condition online yourselves. In short, she's in a very severe state now, on the brink, and highly prone to self-destruction. You mean she might take her own life? Shen Tingwan gritted her teeth in fury at the sight of the newcomer. You bastard, how dare you still be here? Didn't I tell you to get lost? This is all your fault. After meeting you, she ended up like this. I should never have let my little sister see you. Alright, this is a hospital. Calm down. Shen Yi stopped Shen Tingwan and walked up to Himingshu. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. It had only been about a month since he last saw Himingshu, but now Himingshu was completely different from before, like night and day. Shen Yi said, you heard what the doctor said. No matter what caused little sister to end up like this, the most important thing now is to get her treated. Himingshu, utterly distraught, grabbed Dr. Who's coat. Yes, let's cure Schwer first. Doctor, I'm begging you, no matter the cost, please heal her, please, you have to heal her, I'm begging you. He actually went down on his knees directly. Shen Tingwan had never seen Himingshu beg an outsider like this before. She turned her head away, unwilling to watch any longer. Shen Yi sighed and pulled Himingshu to his feet. Dr. Who is an expert in this field, just listen to him first, no need to rush. Dr. Who said, I understand how you, as family members, are feeling, right now. The best approach I recommend is a combination of medication and hypnosis. Moreover, you must ensure that the patient is not exposed to anyone or anything that could trigger her. She cannot be subjected to any more stress. Hypnosis isn't 100% effective, it can only play a soothing role. Mostly, it's up to you, the family, to pay close attention to her behavior and what she says. It's best to go along with her and let her do what she wants. I opened my eyes and saw Shen Tingwan sitting next to me, holding a cup of herbal tea. Seeing that I was awake, she handed me the tea with a smile. You woke up just in time, I just finished brewing it. Try some. I added a new kind of petal this time. Guess what flower it is? And there's a prize if you get it right. I took a small sip, and it tasted great. By the way, this is for you. I took it. It's a divorce agreement Himing has already signed. I smiled, as if the heaviest weight had been lifted from my heart for some reason. I feel incredibly light right now. Sis, I want to keep going to school. Shen Tingwan paused for a moment, then picked up a comb and began to brush my hair. Of course, you can. Which school do you want to go to? I'll help you get it sorted. Sis, I want to take the exam on my own and get in based on my own abilities. You don't need to spend money pulling strings. I've grown up now. Trust me, I'll be your right hand in the future. Shen Tingwan braided my hair into a simple plait, just like when we were little sisters braiding each other's hair into pretty styles. Alright. I promise you, don't worry, I've got your back. Schwer, even if you wanted the moon from the sky, I'd find a way to pluck it down for you. After that day, Himingshu vanished from my life completely. Marriage, love, those things have nothing to do with me from now on. I spend every day either in the library or having tutoring sessions with the tutor my sister hired for me. I had already registered my marriage with Himingshu during college, and we divorced shortly after graduation. Quite dramatic. Really, fortunately, I always did well in school, so I was able to quickly catch up on the knowledge I had missed. After the fall, I successfully entered the Wharton School and chose finance as my major. On the day of my departure, my parents, along with my elder brother and sister, all came to see me off. Shen Yi and Shen Tingwan originally wanted to escort me all the way to school, but I turned them down. There are many matters in the company that require their attention. Mom's health isn't great. And Dad has to worry about the company while also taking care of her. Don't let him get worn out too. Shen Tingwan hugged me tightly. My little sister is so amazing. I'm so proud of you, but I really hate to see you go. You have to take good care of yourself out there. As soon as Big Brother and I finish our work, we'll come visit you. Don't worry about things at home, we've got it covered. After Shen Tingwan finished speaking, Mom pulled me into her arms, just like when I was little, patting my back and gently rocking me a few times. But now I'm even taller than her. She had long since become unable to hold me in her arms and soothe me like she used to. My little girl has grown up, about to leave home and soar far away from the place she grew up. Mom both hopes you have a brilliant future and truly can't bear to let you leave me. She wiped the corner of her eye. This might be how every parent feels, sweetie. You don't have children yet, so you wouldn't understand. Once you have a child, there's an extra tether in this world. No matter where that tether goes, my heart goes with them. You, and your brothers and sisters, are all my tethers. My little darling, who I held in my arms day and night, has grown into a big girl now. Don't mind your mom being naggy, it's just that I can't bear to let you go. My little princess is going so far away. I'm truly both happy and sad for you. I patted my mother on the back, just as she had soothed me, and gently comforted her. Mom, trust me, I'll be back in a few years. Once I'm back, I won't go anywhere else. Even if you get tired of me and try to push me away, I won't leave you. I'll stay with you forever. The mother was choked with tears, nodding silently. Dad glanced at his watch. Time is almost up. Go pursue your studies without worry. We'll be waiting for you at home. After answering a phone call, Shani had a strange look on his face. He seemed to want to say something to me but stopped himself. He didn't say, so I didn't ask. Also, it's time for my flight. I looked at each one of them, then turned and walked away without looking back. The plane was soaring at a great altitude, with an endless sea of cotton-like clouds stretching beyond the window. He Mingshu, I am slowly saying goodbye to the nightmares of my past life. By the next time I see you, I should have already let go. Goodbye. 11. After spending over a year at Wharton, Shen Tingwan came over here to see me. I wasn't surprised that she came to see me, but I was surprised by the other person. He Mingshu's mother. He's He, although Mrs. He also has the surname He. She is not related to the He family by blood at all. It's just a coincidence that they share the same family name. Mother He came this time to apologize for her son. She has watched me grow up since I was a child and has long regarded me as her own daughter. He Mingshu had been keeping the divorce from me a secret from his mother, and it wasn't until recently that she learned the whole story. Ting Xue, I came here this time to tell you two things in person. I've been meaning to apologize to you. It's my fault for not raising Mingshu properly, and he ended up hurting you. Also, I heard from your sister about some of your mother. He said nothing more. She mentioned the second matter. The day you went abroad, his father and I had locked him at home, forbidding him from going to see you, but unexpectedly, he managed to escape. Later, he got into a car accident on the road. They managed to save his life, but his legs were ruined, and he'll have to use a wheelchair from now on. I glanced at my sister. She pursed her lips, her eyes filled with mixed emotions. Shen Tingwan said, the day you left, the call my brother received was from the hospital. They said the first person in He Mingshu's contacts was you, and he kept dialing your number during the accident. Don't feel guilty, he's an adult and has to take responsibility for his own actions. None of us blame you. Mother He hugged me and said, Mingshu is already like this, it's enough that he survived. Ting Xue, you need to take good care of yourself. The He family has wronged you. If there's anything you need to say, you can talk to your family or to us. Don't bottle it up inside. I can't stay here too long. Mingshu, he's changed completely since the car accident. I don't know what's wrong with him either. Himu talked with me for a long time. It wasn't until the next day, after Shen Tingwan had seen her off at the airport, that Shen Tingwan told me a few things about He Mingshu. She said that He Mingshu had become much gloomier ever since waking up from the car accident, and no one knew what was going on in his mind. Even his parents are a bit afraid of him. After He Mingshu recovered, instead of going home, he moved directly into the office. Later, the He family was completely purged. It is said that many top board members have been purged. Shen Tingwan also told me, in a rather mysterious tone, that a female student had been persistently pestering He Mingshu, but later, for some unknown reason, that female student was sent to a mental hospital. Hearing these words, I felt it was very likely that He Mingshu, like me, had memories of a past life. The great purge of the He family was something he had already done in his past life. It happened shortly after the Shin family was brought down. While handling the Shin family matter, He Mingshu uncovered many corrupt elements within the board of directors. But that female student, I'm going to make a bold guess. Could it be Yin Yao? No, I let out a self-deprecating laugh. How could that possibly be true? In his past life, He Mingshu was frenzied and paranoid, not only toward the Shin family but toward all his enemies, employing ruthless means to wipe them out completely. Every time I see him, he exudes an intense aura of aggression. He is ruthless to everyone, but tender and affectionate only toward Yin Yao. It can't be Yin Yao's, I'm absolutely sure. After seeing off Shin Tingwan, my life still revolved solely around the word study. In the following years, both Shin Tingwan and Shani came here to visit me. Mom and Dad also came to see me many times, but I later stopped letting them come. Mom's health had never been very good. Shin Tingwan and Shani also brought some news about He Mingshu. If these messages had any effect on me at all in the beginning, but later, when I heard these news, I was already able to face them calmly. The female student who was harassing He Mingshu, the one he had sent to a mental hospital, was Yin Yao. I really have no idea what He Mingshu is thinking. In his past life, he loved Yin Yao to the point of madness. Why must this life be so tumultuous? In his past life, his obsessive love drove him to madness, and his fixation eventually became his inner demon. Or is it that love is inherently fleeting, and the words "forever devoted" are just an embellishment to spice things up? 12. The day I returned home, not only were all my family members there, but even He Mingshu's parents had come. Over the past 4 years, Shin Tingwan has grown even more stunning and radiant, while Shani has taken full control of the company. Shani, now approaching 30, has grown increasingly steady and composed. Although he gave himself away the moment he opened his mouth, Dad has retired and now devotes himself to taking care of Mom at home. Shin Tingwan's eyes sparkled with delight. My Shuer is getting more and more beautiful. Is this the power of knowledge? She joked. Looks like I need to go back to school too. Mom hasn't changed a bit. Dad has been taking great care of her. My sweet girl, it's good that you're home. Mom, I'm never going anywhere from now on. I'll stay right here with you, and you couldn't drive me away even if you tried. Mom was beaming with joy. She wiped the corner of her eye and suddenly remembered something. This is Auntie He and Uncle He. They heard you were coming home today and made a special trip to see you. No matter how He Mingshu treated me, I have always liked Mother He and Father He. In the previous life, they did everything they could to stop He Mingshu, even going so far as to be willing to die together with him. It was me who talked them out of it. They are so good. A person this good doesn't deserve the same fate as us. I just want everyone around me to be safe and sound, and to have them by my side year after year. That's my only simple wish. Auntie, Uncle, long time no see. Mother He responded several times in a row. Good child, it's our family that wasn't fortunate enough. Just take care of yourself from now on. His mother lowered her head, wiping away her tears. I noticed the obvious white hairs on her head. I turned to look at Father He, and he was just like Mother He. He's clearly around the same age as my parents, yet he looks much older than them. His parents stuffed a generous red envelope into my hands and gave me carefully chosen gifts. They still dote on me like a child, just as they did when I was little. After dinner, they said goodbye to us. The car that came to pick them up had pitch black windows, and I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me from inside. His parents didn't linger. As soon as they got in the car, they urged us to go back inside. I quickly put the matter behind me. After returning home and resting for 2 days, I threw myself back into managing the company. Shin Tingwan had never truly aspired to this. It was just that she had no other choice. After I joined, Shin Tingwan trained me for a while, then completely at ease, clapped her hands and walked away. She excitedly told me she had long wanted to escape this giant cage, and that traveling the world on an adventure is what she truly wanted to do. The next day, she had already packed her bags and was ready to set off. It seems she's been holding it in for a long time. By this time in her previous life, Shin Tingwan had long since passed away. Now she hums an unfamiliar tune excitedly while tying her shoelaces. I stared at her for a moment, then stepped forward to straighten her hat. Take good care of yourself out there, and call me every single day. Got it. Shin Tingwan gave me a kiss on the cheek and then wrapped me in a big bear hug. Got it, little sis, you're starting to sound more like my big sister. It used to be Shin Tingwan who saw me off at the airport. This time, it was my turn to see her off. After Shin Tingwan left, I threw myself entirely into my work. Shinny is usually easygoing, but when it comes to work, he is Meticulous to the point of being demanding. Many times I've seen him tear into his employees for their mistakes at work, chewing them out mercilessly, but behind the scenes, those employees all had an excellent relationship with Shani. No employee has ever complained about Shani, perhaps because the pay is generous. Shani never treats anyone unfairly as long as they do their job well, and as soon as a mistake at work is corrected, Shani immediately sends a big red envelope every time. The employees are trembling with fear 1 second, and the next, they're clutching their red envelopes, grinning so wide their eyes disappear. I couldn't help but laugh. I really couldn't understand Shani's approach to managing employees. Later, Shani assigned all the company's major deals to my team to handle. Shani doesn't have to worry about a single deal, and the Shin family business is thriving more and more. Shortly after that, Xiao Zhang from my team told me that a company which had been working with Shins for years suddenly backed out. The person in charge said that the main person responsible for this order needs to go negotiate with them in person. I've looked into this company's profile. It's a young, up-and-coming firm that's emerged in recent years. Despite its youth, the company's growth potential should not be underestimated. I told Xiao Zhang that I would take care of this matter. I arrived there early the next morning. The receptionist warmly invited me into the meeting room and told me the person in charge would be here shortly. This reception room is furnished very simply, with only black and white tones. The receptionist brought me a cup of herbal tea and then stepped out. The scent of jasmine tea is light and refreshing, exactly the kind of fragrance I love. I leaned against the French window, holding a cup of herbal tea. I think I already know who's coming to see me. Long time no see, Shin Tingxue. He Mingshu's dark, hoarse voice sounded behind me, followed by a few chuckles. That laughter seemed to come from the depths of hell, sending a chill of fear through my heart. He is now the He Mingshu of his past life. 13. Is that all you wanted to tell me? I took a deep breath, not wanting him to see how nervous I was. I turned around. He Mingshu was indeed sitting in a wheelchair, with a blanket covering his legs. Half of him was hidden in the shadows, his brow exuding a fierce aura. When he lifted his gaze to look at me, there was not a trace of emotion in his eyes. He Mingshu didn't say a word, he just kept looking at me. By the time my flower tea had gone completely cold, he still hadn't spoken. I gave up. I cannot outlast He Mingshu when it comes to patience. What exactly are you trying to say? If there's nothing to say, I'm going back. I'm sorry, I almost thought I misheard. If it were this life's He Mingshu, he would apologize, but He Mingshu, who was madly obstinate in his past life, would never utter a word of apology even if his legs were broken. I placed the herbal tea on the table. Save your apologies for Shin Tingxue from your past life. I brushed past him directly and grabbed the door of the meeting room, but out of nowhere, a powerful force from behind yanked me back. I lost my footing and was pulled into He Mingshu's arms. Suddenly being exposed to his scent made me extremely uncomfortable. I sprang to my feet and slapped him across the face. The slap left a trace of blood at the corner of He Mingshu's mouth. He licked the corner of his mouth. Feel better now? If not, feel free to continue. Lunatic, pervert, psycho. I hurled every curse word I could think of at him, my eyes burning red with rage as I grabbed his clothes. I've asked you countless times why you've done this to my Shin family. Did you ever answer me? Did you ever pay me any attention? You pushed us to the brink time and time again, and now you come to me with these words. What's the point? What's the damn point? He Mingshu, I'm not as ruthless or as vicious as you. I can't afford to mess with you, but I can sure as hell stay out of your way. In your past life, sending the entire Shin family to hell wasn't enough for you. Are you going to do the same in this life too? I'm telling you, I will never give you that chance. If you want to touch my family, kill me first. Otherwise, one day, I'll take you down myself. He Mingshu stared at me in silence, waiting until all my anger had been vented, until I had calmed down considerably. I closed my eyes for a moment. He Mingshu as a child, He Mingshu as a teenager, He Mingshu as an adult. I have spent so much time walking alongside him. Once a childhood sweetheart couple envied by everyone, they ended up in a bitter and relentless feud. It's utterly absurd and laughable. My tears spilled over uncontrollably. I couldn't hold back my emotions any longer, covering my face as I fell to my knees, sobbing. I can never seem to escape the shadow of my past life. After holding it together for so long, I finally broke down completely in front of He Mingshu. I won't touch the Shin family, and I won't hurt you again. He Mingshu's hand on my shoulder seemed to be trembling. I don't believe it. Ever since that encounter in the reception room, I kept seeing He Mingshu everywhere, whether at a bid opening ceremony or at some auction. The most recent time was at Mom's birthday party. He Mingshu's arrival plunged the banquet into a momentary silence. In the entire business world now, who doesn't know He Mingshu? His tactics would even send shivers down the spine of old foxes who played the game for decades. His parents awkwardly tried to ease the tension. As for Shenyi and Shen Tingwan, the moment they saw He Mingshu, they shielded me tightly behind them. Just like when we played the game of eagle and chicks as children, He Mingshu always plays the eagle and I am no chicken. The more I met him, the more I actually felt a bit sorry for He Mingshu because everyone is afraid of him, including his parents. No one dared to stay by his side and talk to him wherever he was. He would just sit alone, drinking gloomily. I won't feel sorry for him later. I heard from Shenyi that the He family had brought in a steady stream of big deals for our company. The Shen family had already squeezed into the world's top 100 companies. Every time I ran into He Mingshu, he never spoke to me, only watched me from afar until I left. Later, as the Shen family's business grew larger and larger, I paid less and less attention to He Mingshu. The last time I heard of He Mingshu was when news of his death came. He passed away, died of cancer. People were afraid of him when he was alive. After his death, his story as the youngest business prodigy became widely known. I didn't attend his funeral. When he died, both his parents were still alive. My parents are also doing well. I don't want to see them suffer the pain of outliving their own child. Shenyi, Shen Tingwan, and my parents all went. I stayed home alone, quietly watching the New Year's fireworks. He Mingshu died at an unfortunate time. Right on New Year's Eve, a person died in the hospital. I poured myself a glass of red wine through the brilliant fireworks outside the window. I wondered who I was raising my glass to. Maybe I'm drunk. I clinked my glass against the window pane, tilting my head back to watch what was said to be the most beautiful and grand fireworks display of the year. Goodbye, He Mingshu. We will never see each other again in this lifetime. That's all for the first story. Stay tuned, the next one is even more exciting. Driving my husband's car home, I skillfully activated the in-car AI, navigate home, yet the screen pinpointed an unfamiliar residential compound. Sure, ready to go. I've set the destination to a CI and Ruan Ruan's cozy home. My heart sank. Who is Ruan Ruan? I immediately called my husband. Did someone mess with the navigation settings in your car? There was a second of silence on the other end, followed by a light, cheerful laugh. Oh, come on, old Xia borrowed my car last week to pick up his girlfriend, probably just some cheesy young couple stuff he messed around with. I'll give him an earful later. I chuckled in response and hung up the phone. Her fingers slid across the car screen, and right beneath ACI and Ruan's little home, the arrival time of 00:30 a.m. was starkly displayed. I jerked the steering wheel and sped off toward that unfamiliar neighborhood. The car's AI voice was jarringly loud as the engine died. Arrived at our destination, ACI and Ruan's cozy little home, I had just pulled over to the side of the road when I ran into someone unexpected. Su Ruan, Fuxi's newly admitted doctoral student this year. Su Ruan spotted the familiar car, let her hair down, and swayed her hips as she walked over. She twisted her waist and tapped on the car window with practiced ease. Professor Fu, forgot your key card. Until the window rolled all the way down, revealing my half-smirk, half-smile expression. Su Ruan's expression stiffened, and she quickly changed her tune. Ma'am, what brings you here? I looked at her calmly and cut straight to the chase. Fuxi's car navigation led me here, and here I met you again. Explain. Su Ruan seemed taken aback by my bluntness, but she froze for only a moment before quickly breaking into a charming, flirtatious smile. Well, you see, Teacher Xia's girlfriend is my good friend and roommate. Last week, when Teacher Xia borrowed Teacher Fu's car to pick her up, he gave me a ride too, and we navigated our way here. Ma'am, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. As she spoke, she even pulled out screenshots of the chat history and photos from the day trip as evidence. His words were perfectly measured, polite and appropriate, but they all seemed to have forgotten that when fabricating this lie, Fuxi has an extremely severe case of misophobia and refuses to touch anything that has been touched by others. How can I trust something like lending my beloved car to a colleague I barely know just so he can pick up girls? I remained silent, shifting my gaze to the laundry basket cradled in Su Ruan's arms. At the very top of the laundry basket lay a pair of black men's boxer briefs. The brand's embroidered letter C on the waistband of the underwear was slightly worn, and I once mended it with royal blue silk thread, leaving an obvious color difference. I recognized at a glance that it was Fuxi's underwear. In an instant, it felt like something was blocking my chest, leaving me suffocating and uneasy. I pointed at the underwear, my words teasing yet my eyes cold as ice. Your boyfriend's, what a coincidence. It looks just like the one Fuxi lost. Even the thread color for the mending is the same as what I used. Su Ruan instinctively hid the underwear behind her back, her face turning deathly pale, unable to utter a single word. "Now I understand everything." With a cold expression, I drove the car out of the residential area and pulled over at the curb, one by one checking Fu Si's payment platforms and social media accounts. But as each one logged in, Fu Si promptly kicked them out one by one. When he logged in again, he had already changed all his passwords. The next second, Fu Si called directly. The contact name "my husband" on my phone stung my eyes like a sharp thorn. On the other end of the line, Fu Si's voice was soft and slow, as if coaxing a spoiled child. "Z, you'll need your phone for the briefing. If you want to check my phone, you can take your time looking through it when we get home tonight, okay?" Before I could even respond, he suddenly lowered his voice and said, "Meeting, gotta go." The moment the call ended, a sweet message came through on WeChat. "Honey, I know I've been too busy lately, and it's my fault for making you feel insecure, but you have to believe, I love only you and, forever loyal to you. How about under the parasol tree at the entrance of the community?" I watched in silence as Fu Si casually tossed aside his phone and pulled Su Wanruan, who came running wildly, into his arms, kissing her with urgent tenderness. A buzzing sound in my ear, fighting back the sudden sting in my nose. I turned on my phone to gather evidence, then drove away. The voice on the car radio echoed across the sky. "Sisters, a man's promises are no different from a dog's bark. You should never trust it." That night, Fu Si used the excuse of having things to do at school and didn't go home. But he calmly sent me the account passwords for all his social platforms. I logged in and found that he had handled everything related to Su Wanruan with great care, yet I still managed to trace a suspicious transaction from years ago and, following the clues, uncovered a dating account. The girl appearing in the account is Su Wanruan, while the man only shows his hands and lower body. I recognized him at a glance. That man was Fu Si. I scrolled through them one by one. On May 16, 2023, the night I was prepping for my wedding at the hotel, Su Wanruan, wearing my wedding gown, was covered in red marks and leaning in Fu Si's arms. Caption: the house, the bed, the wedding dress, hers, the man, mine. The night of April 19, 2025, when I miscarried and wept bitterly in the hospital, Su Wanruan posted a photo of a pregnancy test with 2 lines and our child's room, which had been turned upside down. He said, "It's still the most thrilling to do it here, and by the way, thanks to the one who paved the way, I'll gladly take the clothes and toys that are no longer needed." The night of May 14, 2025, when my severe car accident caused my grandfather to fall critically ill, Su Wanruan leaned into Fu Si's arms, posing for a photo with my grandfather, who was covered in medical tubes, her eyes full of mockery. Caption: I went to see the old man for her one last time. The blind old fool kept holding my hand and calling me Gigi. How amusing. Seeing this, I no longer had the strength to hold my phone steady. It turned out that the wedding dress with lipstick stains on the collar, the mysteriously missing clothes and items from the children's room, and the words Grandpa kept repeating to his family with all his strength before he passed away: "I see that Gigi is doing well, and I see that Liao is too." So it turns out, this wasn't me being oversensitive, nor was it my paranoia, and it wasn't just Grandpa's dying hallucination either. Instead, I was just a clown playing a bit part in their script, naively believing I was the leading lady blessed with true love. My throat felt tightly blocked by something scorching. As a dense wave of bitterness spread from my heart through every limb and bone, I couldn't hold back any longer and let out a scream, smashing everything in Fu Si's room like a madwoman. Yet, among the scattered documents, I caught sight of Su Wanruan's doctoral dissertation, prepared for her defense, whose experimental data closely matched that of my academic paper about to be published in a top-tier journal. I bit my lower lip hard, forcing myself to stay calm. Picking up the scattered documents from the floor and comparing them one by one, I discovered the papers are not just roughly similar. Aside from the introduction and acknowledgements, the core data charts, analytical logic, and conclusion derivation are completely identical. Beside it were paragraphs of annotations written by Fu Si in blue ballpoint pen. The lab data from Shinzi's section showed improvement yesterday. Remember to revise it. We're one as husband and wife. What's hers is mine. Don't be afraid to copy. She publishes academic papers every year, but you only get one shot at your graduation thesis. It's her honor to let you have it. I let out a sneer and hurled the draft manuscript onto the floor. Fu Si not only cheated but also tried to steal the fruits of my team's years of hard work, just to pave a path for his beloved to climb higher. He is dreaming. I'll contact the dean right away and ask him to arrange for me to attend tomorrow's doctoral defense. But as soon as the call connected, the dean spoke first. Fu Xi has given you the opportunity to lead the study trip to Beijing this year. Get ready, you're heading to Beijing with the team tomorrow. Early the next morning, Fu Xi made a special trip home to see me off at the airport. He watched me almost every step of the way, making sure I had boarded the plane in first class. The professor and students connected to the plane's onboard Wi-Fi and opened the live stream of a medical university's doctoral defense. At the doctoral defense of Medical University A, the camera panned across the panel of professors. Everyone saw that Su Anruan was granted permission to sit beside Fu Xi. In the seat that was originally mine, Fu Xi was speaking into the microphone, his dark eyes calm and exuding a natural sense of authority. After reading out the necessary rules, he shifted his tone and softened his voice. Just a quick off-topic note, my beloved student is sitting in your esteemed wife's usual spot. Purely for academic discussion purposes, please don't overthink or spread rumors, and don't put Professor Fu at risk of having to kneel on a washboard when he gets home. Upon hearing this, the crowd burst into laughter. Many colleagues and students also sent good-natured teasing messages via WeChat, yet I stared expressionlessly at the latest post from Su Wanwan's relationship account, updated just a minute ago. 8:45 a.m., June 15, 2025. As Fu Xi spoke, a silk-stockinged calf hidden beneath the desk gently hooked and teased, moving up and down. Caption: sitting in the mistress's seat is so tiring, much more comfortable on the master's lap. The defense began, and soon it was Su Anruan's turn. She opened the PowerPoint and began speaking with confidence and poise. Dear professors, my research aims to address two major bottlenecks in CAR T-cell therapy for solid tumors: the off-target effect and tumor microenvironment suppression. I watched coldly as Fu Xi's lips curled up slightly from the stage. With an almost reverent indulgence, his gaze held no trace of eager showing off. There was only a gentle pride of Xi. I knew she was exceptional. He had never looked at me with such eyes. When I gave up fertility treatment, willingly endured radiation damage, and spent countless sleepless nights producing a groundbreaking paper on cancer, only to have my achievements questioned by others, he stood with that group and lectured me. Xi, you're not capable of producing data like this in just 1 year. Don't do something that disappoints me. Then he took my lab report and tossed it into the roadside bonfire burning straw. But at this moment, when other professors were skeptical of Su Wanwan's incredibly precise experimental data and conclusions, Fu Xi didn't hesitate to pick up the microphone and charge forward for her. Su Wanwan's project design is highly valuable and exceptionally innovative. I hope all colleagues will refrain from envy and jealousy. She is my prized disciple. I wouldn't be surprised if she achieves even greater scientific breakthroughs. Fu Xi's tone was not loud, yet it carried an unyielding firmness that brooked no argument. The entire audience watched in dead silence as he stood firmly in front of Su Wanwan, speaking every word with earnest sincerity. In the field of CAR T-cell therapy, no one, domestically or internationally, has achieved more than my wife, Xi. Even if she were the one reviewing this paper, she wouldn't have a single objection. Everyone fell silent, and the professors, intimidated by Fu Xi and my standing and influence in the research community, dared not utter another word. But just as everyone unanimously passed Su Wanwan's thesis defense and flattered her that she would soon publish in a top journal and secure a teaching position at the university, a steady voice came from the audience: I object. The flattery came to an abrupt halt as everyone instinctively looked up to find the source of the voice. Upon hearing this, Fu Xi's expression instantly turned cold. He picked up the microphone and spoke with disdain. And who might you be? I, who was supposed to be leading a study tour in Beijing, rose from a corner of the audience with a slight lift of my brows. I greeted the gasping students with proper poise. My gaze met squarely with Fu Xi's stunned dark eyes. I am Xi, Professor Emeritus of a medical university. Objection. You could hear a pin drop in the defense hall. Thousands of eyes were fixed on me in shock. A message from my bestie Xi popped up on my phone. Xi, I've picked up your little ones. I'll take good care of them during this study trip, so go ahead and crush that cheating scumbag and his mistress with peace of mind. Let's rewind to 3 hours ago. Before the plane took off, I contacted my bestie Xi, a professor at a capital medical university, and asked her to look after my students on this study trip. I explained the special circumstances to my colleagues and the cabin crew, then got off the plane. Now I met the most incredulous gaze from the professor's seat, my expression calm as I walked step by step towards Su Wanwan. Su Wanwan met my sharp gaze, then quickly dropped her eyes, looking helplessly at Fu Xi. Fu Xi furrowed his brows slightly, as if about to speak, but I cut him off with a clean, decisive gesture. Professor Shen, what are you? The host braced himself to smooth things over. The appeal procedure complies with the regulations. My gaze swept across the astonished crowd, my voice steady and measured. I have serious doubts about the research findings of classmate Su Wanruan. I ignored Swan Wanruan, who had lost all color before the operating table, and lightly tapped my fingertip. The massive LED screen behind him instantly switched, displaying a scanned copy of the original experimental data records before the audience. The time, date, operator's signature, Shen Zi, and the instrument's auto-generated serial number were all clearly visible. This is the original source of Chart 1 of the core data in classmate Su Wanruan's paper. I take my time. Her data was recorded at 2:08 a.m. on March 17. Location, the No. 3 Biosafety Level P2+ lab at the Cancer Research Institute of a medical university. Operator, myself. The screen instantly switched to a side-by-side display. On the left is the cell viability comparison chart from Su Wanruan's paper, which she referred to as a key breakthrough. On the right is the original chart from my initial record, except that the legend labels were deliberately erased and replaced with Su Wanruan's name. The image curves, data point distributions, and even the subtle characteristics of the background noise in the data are all identical. It is perfectly clear who is the original and who is the copycat. A wave of murmurs swept through the audience. This guy plagiarizes and doesn't even bother to change the original chart. Is Su Wanruan out of her mind, plagiarizing Professor Shen of all people? Wow. Professor Fu just said this paper is extremely innovative, but logically, even if there were objections to the paper, out of respect for family ties, someone as tactful as Professor Shen wouldn't have gone so far as to embarrass Professor Fu on the spot. The crowd seemed to sense something, their gazes shifting between me, Fu Xi, and Su Wanruan, but Fu Xi abruptly stood up, the calm in his eyes shattering in an instant. Zi, this is an academic setting. If there's any misunderstanding, we can discuss it privately. A misunderstanding? I cut him off, a faint smile curling at the corner of my lips. Then he turned his gaze to Su Wanruan beside me, whose face was deathly pale. Miss Su Wanruan, why don't you explain yourself? How is it that your major innovative achievement, which took you a whole year to complete independently, is an exact replica of a rough sketch I casually jotted down on scrap paper in the lab 3 months ago? Su Wanruan forced herself to stay calm and spoke with grievance. Professor Shen, I know you've held a grudge against me ever since the navigation incident in Professor Fu's car, but this is the most critical moment of my academic career. You can't slander me with a graph of dubious origin just because you couldn't complete the experiment yourself. At these words, the onlookers began murmuring among themselves again. That makes sense too. Anyone could claim plagiarism with a Photoshop chart. I know about the navigation incident. Teacher Xie just borrowed Teacher Fu's car to pick up his girlfriend and Su Wanruan. It wasn't anything else. Did Professor Shen really have to make such a big deal out of it? And this is a graduation defense, you know. Isn't Professor Shen just using his position to bully students by doing this? Hearing the sudden shift in the crowd's sentiment, I let out a soft chuckle. My fingertips tapping lightly, a surveillance camera video popped up on the LED screen. In the video, Su Wanruan swaggered into my lab, contempt written all over her face, messing up all my experimental materials and secretly filming all my research data with her phone. I gave her a half smile. The camera at the entrance of the lab is indeed broken. But who told you there's only one camera in my lab? The evidence is ironclad. The appearance of the video threw the entire scene into chaos. Damn, this chick's got some nerve, actually stealing the professor's research data, isn't she? Afraid of flunking out, he was just making snide remarks and slinging mud at Professor Shen. What a shameless bastard. I knew I didn't just misplace my thesis in the lab, she actually dug it out from under the desk. Die already, you plagiarizing jerk. Several highly respected senior professors on the judging panel wore grim expressions. Academicianly, seated in the center, spoke with a voice choked with suppressed anger. Fu Xi, as Su Wanruan's mentor, what explanation do you have to offer? Fu Xi seemed to be jolted awake by that sound, suddenly looking up at me. Then, his clenched fist slowly relaxed, and his dark eyes regained their usual calm. I was not aware of Su Wanruan's matter. The school may handle it according to the regulations. Then, without even glancing at Su Wanruan's contorted face, he turned away. Instead, he walked slowly up to me and softly begged for mercy. Honey, It's my fault for not teaching this student well. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. He gently hooked his finger around mine. But there are so many people watching right now, you don't want them to see us making a scene, do you? Let's settle this at home, okay? I frowned slightly and subtly pulled away from his hand, looking at Fu Si's hypocritical face. It felt like I was truly seeing him for the first time. How do you plan to handle the sudden changes regarding the navigation, Su Wanwan's graduation thesis, and the study tour leader quotas? The smile in Fu Si's dark eyes froze for a moment, but he quickly pretended to be unguarded as he put an arm around my shoulders but secretly pinched me hard as a warning. Z, I know all these suspicious little thoughts of yours come from loving me far too much, but you need to learn to read the room. Su Wanwan is just one of my most ordinary students. I've taught so many classes over the years. Are you going to suspect every single one of them? I shook off his hand, let out a cold laugh, and was just about to click on the link in the document to Suanruanruan's social media account. The next second, Suanruan beside him suddenly grabbed his hand. Her entire body went rigid, her long, sharp nails nearly digging into my flesh. Su Wanwan glared at me venomously for a moment, then suddenly turned pale and collapsed heavily to the ground. Fu Si's hand, reaching out to help her, froze midair, uncertain whether to continue or withdraw. The entire venue was in chaos. Su Wanwan fainted. Is she for real or just faking it? Probably for real. Her skirts hiked up to her hips. You can see everything down there. If you ask me, Professor Shen went too far. Couldn't they have handled this in private instead of humiliating a student like that? Didn't you hear what Professor Fu just said? Too controlling, always suspicious of everything. I'm just going to say this quietly, but videos can actually be edited too. Besides, given Su Wanwan's usual attitude toward studying, she doesn't seem like the type of person who would plagiarize. I agree, she might be foolish, but she's not foolish enough to plagiarize a renowned professor. Amid the chaos, the faculty evacuated the students and suspended the defense. As soon as I got home, I found that a clipped snippet of Swan Wanwan fainting during her thesis defense had been edited and uploaded online, quickly shooting to the top of the trending list. The hashtag famous female professor grills student until she faints at defense hashtag instantly ignited public outrage under the trending hashtag. A torrent of malice surged. This old hag is totally jealous of the young female student's youth and beauty. Just look at that figure, and then look at her. Isn't this just pure academic bullying? Just because someone's a professor, they think they can ruin people's careers on a whim. Disgusting. Heard she can't have kids, so she's gone crazy. Can't stand her own husband being nice to students. A few live photos of Su Wanwan looking pitiful and delicate were deliberately juxtaposed with screenshots of my stern and solemn expression during the defense. Overwhelming labels like jealous, mean, and control freak were hurled at me relentlessly. Fu Si immediately admitted Suanruan to a VIP ward in a private hospital. In the hospital room, Su Wanwan started a live stream on her phone camera. Her eyes were rimmed with red, and her voice trembled with a weak sob. Professor Fu and I have nothing more than a simple teacher-student relationship. I never expected Professor Shen to think that way. Maybe it really is my fault. I don't blame Teacher Shen, she just cares about Teacher Fu too much. I can understand that. Su Wanwan skillfully dodged the core issue of plagiarism, instead constantly hinting that it was me who, out of jealousy over her imagined relationship with Fu Si, deliberately targeted and suppressed her, an innocent student. She even went so far as to fabricate, both explicitly and implicitly, details about me giving her private warnings and making things difficult for her. The text subtly promotes a narrative of female rivalry, suggesting that the teacher's wife, feeling insecure about her aging appearance, is jealous of the young female students. When netizens found out about this, they flooded my Weibo comments with insults. Shameless old hag, get out of academia. So just because you're past your prime and can't keep your husband, you spend your days fantasizing about bullying female students. That's absolutely disgusting. Haha, this woman publishes in top journals every year. How much of it is fluff? She knows damn well. Get treatment if you're sick. Okay, stop ruining students' lives all day, will you? Some people even went directly to a medical university's Weibo account to launch attacks. Get Shenzi out of a medical university. If Shenzi isn't expelled, a medical university will be permanently blacklisted. Lounging on the sofa, I casually scrolled through hate comments when I heard the soft click of the door lock. Fu Si took off his coat and gently pulled me into his arms. Z, he said softly, his voice carrying a soothing tone, it's a mess out there, don't take those words to heart, Wanwan, she's really unstable emotionally, and the school is in a complete uproar. The familiar scent beside me now only makes my stomach turn. I sidestepped his touch without a word, my voice cold, up to your ears in trouble, not because the plagiarism was exposed, but because I pushed her to the point of fainting and got the school trending for all the wrong reasons, right? Fu Xi frowned slightly. I know you feel wronged, but now is not the time to act on impulse. The public outcry is escalating, putting the school under immense pressure, which is very unfavorable for you. He paused, studying my expression. I've discussed it with the dean, and we've arranged a few days of paid leave for you. You just take a good rest at home for a few days and lie low. Once the heat dies down, the school will naturally clear your name. Lay low, I let out a snicker. Fu Xi, are you asking me to be a coward, or do you want me to just accept that label of academic bullying? Don't you get it? I'm doing this to protect you. You're not in the right state to face those crazy reporters and netizens. Just look at all the nasty comments online. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. Fu Xi's voice softened, coaxing and cajoling. Be a good girl. Hand me your phone, and just stay home for the next few days. Leave the outside matters to me. I'll talk to the school and find a way to calm the public opinion. We're a married couple, 2 as 1. I won't let you suffer any injustice. As he spoke, he simply took the phone right out of my hand without any explanation. Take a few days to rest and stop looking at those upsetting things. I'll have the housekeeper bring your meals on time. Just let me know if you need anything. Watching his clumsy acting, I suddenly found it somewhat amusing. How did I never realize before just how hypocritical he really is? Was his acting just that good, or had I truly lost myself in love? Fu Xi didn't catch my half-smile. He just tidied up while explaining to me gently, I've temporarily had the internet at home disconnected, so those annoying pop-ups won't ruin your mood. Don't use the computer in the study either. Just take a few days to relax properly. After a long build-up, he suddenly seemed to recall something and took a document out of his briefcase. He couldn't even look me in the eye when he spoke. By the way, the school needs a report on your recent research progress, which might involve some details on how the funds were used. I recall you had a few authorization letters for large research grants in my safe, right? And the property deeds for those several properties under your name, aren't they also in my keeping? Just hand them all over to me. I'll organize them and submit them to the faculty office together, saving you another trip and keeping you from getting cornered by reporters. His excuse was so high-sounding that it left no room for refusal. I crossed my arms and watched as the composed and courteous lover I remembered slowly rotted and crumbled before my eyes. My final test. Fu Xi, are you sure you want to do this? Upon hearing this, Fu Xi looked at me with an open and honest gaze, even carrying a hint of reproach that was entirely for my sake. Don't be stubborn. The most important thing now is to calm things down as quickly as possible and keep your position at the school. These property procedures are just routine formalities, also meant to prepare for any possible school inspection. Don't worry, I've got everything under control. He extended his hand, palm facing up, and waited. That posture was not one of asking, but of commanding. I gazed at his hand in silence for a long time. That hand once wiped away my tears and led me down the aisle, but now, you resort to underhanded tactics to hurl me into the abyss. I let out a self-deprecating laugh, no longer expecting anything, nor questioning anything. Instead, she took the document bag he had requested from the safe and slapped it heavily into his hand. Watching Fu Xi's back as he strode out the door, my expression turned cold. You've been scheming to transfer my assets to clear the way for legitimizing Su Ruanya, haven't you? I gently twirled the empty file folder he left behind, my expression dark and unfathomable. Fu Xi, you really are terrifyingly naive. The day after Fu Xi took the documents, the school's suspension notice landed on my desk. Reason: suspected academic misconduct. All teaching and research activities are suspended pending investigation. I glanced through the report with interest, then drove to school to pack up my personal belongings from the lab. Just as I reached the entrance of the research institute, I heard Su Wanwan's sweet, coquettish voice coming from inside. Professor Fu, those old materials of Professor Shin's are just taking up space. How about I have someone clear them all out? No rush. Fu Xi's voice carried a tone of indulgence. There's no rush. Wait until the institute officially issues the notice to transfer her lab to you before you deal with it. I pushed open the door and caught Su Anruan wearing my white coat, lounging in my office chair as she swayed back and forth. Fu Xi stood behind her, reaching out to tuck the stray hairs at her forehead. his movements natural and intimate. Well, if it isn't Professor Shen. Seeing me enter, Su Amruan raised an eyebrow and smiled, deliberately puffing out her chest to reveal the suggestive red marks peeking from the collar of her white coat. Come to school even after being suspended, trying to beg teacher Fu for leniency. Fu Xi turned around, a flicker of panic in his eyes. Zi, why are you here? Didn't I tell you to stay at home? This is no place for you. I let out a cold laugh and walked straight to the desk, intending to take the lab notebook from the drawer. It's my lab and my stuff. Why can't I come in? Su Wanwan, however, let out a playful giggle and gave a forceful shove. Professor Shen, you've been suspended, this is my lab now. Before I could react, my lower back slammed into the sharp corner of the lab table, sending a jolt of pain so intense my vision went dark at that moment. Fu Xi dropped all pretense. He pulled Su Wanwan into his arms and shot me a gaze as cold as ice. Shenzi, don't you get it yet? From the day you caused a scene at the thesis defense, you've had no place at a medical university. The dean just said they're going to reclaim your research funding from the past 5 years and suspect there are issues with your previous papers too. I steadied myself, crossed my arms, and looked at the lovey-dovey couple with a light chuckle. Oh, finally dropped the act, have you? Su Wanwan cast a provocative glance, her laughter shaking, graceful yet teasing. Professor Shen, you probably don't know this yet, but Professor Fu has already recommended me to the department. Next month, I'll be staying on as a faculty member. Your research projects, your lab, they'll all be mine from then on. Oh, by the way, Teacher Fu also helped me transfer the ownership of that old house your grandfather left behind. He said it could be our wedding home. My hand paused as I reached for the lab report, my sharp gaze shooting toward Fu Xi. Fu Xi, you're truly shameless. Fu Xi looked as if he had just heard the joke of the century. Shameless, Shenzi, put your hand on your heart and tell me. Without my help all these years, would you have achieved the position you have today? After your miscarriage, when you lost control, it was me who helped suppress all the negative press. When your grandfather passed away, it was me who handled the funeral arrangements for you. So now, what's the big deal asking you to give up a little something for Wan? She's carrying the Fu family's child. I looked straight into Fu Xi's twisted face and spoke, word by word. Fu Xi, you're wrong. I got to where I am today step by step, all on my own. I'm the one bearing the brunt of the negative press, and my family has been handling my grandfather's funeral arrangements all along. I shifted the topic and gave a soft smile. But you are different. After all these years of riding on my coattails, you still can't keep up with me. Pretty frustrating, isn't it? So that's why they had Su Wanwan steal my thesis, just to prove that even the students they taught could trample me underfoot. Fu Xi, you're truly pathetic. My words struck Fu Xi's heart, every single one. He glared at me like an enraged beast. Nonsense, Shenzi, you're absolutely impossible. With that, he even called security, intending to have me thrown out as 2 security guards grabbed me by the arms and dragged me out. I heard Fu Xi explaining to the onlookers, word by word, please don't mind her, she just can't handle any excitement. Her nerves are a bit fragile. The blinding sunlight mingled with the crowd's murmurs, Su Wanwan's feigned sobs, and Fu Xi's slanderous accusations. I don't find it harsh, just amusing. The next second, I twisted free from the security guard's grip and headed straight to the school's broadcasting station. By the time I locked the broadcasting station door from the inside, Fu Xi and Su Wanwan had already arrived with the security guards in pursuit. They went live and pointed the camera at me. Shenzi, do you really think hiding in there will change anything? Stealing research findings and bullying students academically, these charges are enough to ruin your reputation and destroy your career. Su Wanwan's sobbing became even more exaggerated as she deliberately raised her voice to slander me. Professor Shen, I know you resent me for carrying Professor Fu's child, but you can't destroy the entire lab. If anything happens to those experimental samples, countless cancer patients will lose all hope. The hallway gradually filled with people, as phone camera flashes flickered on and off. Fu Xi, perhaps feeling certain of victory, suddenly softened his tone and started putting on a heartfelt act for the phone camera. Z, I know you were just momentarily confused. Open the door, let's go home and talk this through properly. I can pretend none of this ever happened. After all, we were husband and wife. I ignored it completely, let out a soft chuckle at the mixing console, and pressed play. The first thing that came through was Su Wanwan's syrupy, cloying voice. Professor Fu, do you think Shenzi would be Absolutely furious if she found out we won an award using her experimental data. And what about her grandfather's old house? How about we turn it into our wedding home? I've had my eye on that carved canopy bed for ages. Then came Fusi's soft, coaxing whispers. Once you get your degree, I can transfer not just the old house, but even those patents under her name to yours. That idiot Shinzi still thinks I'm in love with her. The murmurs in the corridor suddenly shifted in tone. I heard someone gasp and someone else curse under their breath upon hearing everything. Fu Xi immediately shut down the livestream. He began to yank the door handle forcefully. Shinzi, you bitch, how dare you slander me? I ignored it and continued playing the second recording. That was a phone call between Fu Xi and the dean, where he wanted to use research funding to buy an apartment for Su Wanwan. Dean, just record that money under Shinzi's project. She's been busy lately and won't look too closely at the accounts. Yeah, just say it's newly purchased lab equipment. Su Wanwan finally panicked upon hearing this and suddenly let out a loud scream. She's spreading rumors. She just wants to ruin me. I watched the two of them start frantically pounding on the door and chuckled softly into the microphone. Don't rush, there's more excitement to come. The surveillance footage began playing on the screen in the lab. Su Wanwan, wearing a protective suit, entered the cell culture room and swapped the CAR-T cell samples that my team had cultivated for 3 months with ordinary cells in the office. Fu Xi sneaked in late at night to copy experimental data onto a USB drive in the hospital room. Swan Wanwan pinched her grandfather's oxygen tube and made funny faces, while Fu Xi stood by, smiling and recording the scene on video amid the gasps of the crowd. I immediately released Su Wanwan's social media account, The Onlookers, reading the explicit and malicious comments on the account, began muttering curses under their breath. Damn, what a piece of trash. She's really mastered the art of being an academic seductress. After laying all that out, I turned around and stood still. The voice was calm, yet carried a bone-chilling coldness. Fu Xi, do you think when Grandpa grabbed Su Wanwan's hand on his deathbed and called her Gigi, it was because he recognized the woman who stole my clothes and even cut off his oxygen tube? Also, you said Su Wanwan is carrying a child of the Fu family. So how about we take a look at the abortion surgery record she had at the hospital last week? The last sentence hit like a thunderbolt, leaving the corridor dead silent, exposed for her fake pregnancy scheme. Su Wanwan let out a sharp, hysterical scream. Fu Xi's burst through the door and, losing his mind, grabbed me by the throat. Shinzi, I'll kill you. At that moment, several police cars raced into the campus with sirens blaring. Through the window of the broadcasting station, I saw Academician Lee standing downstairs with the school leaders, holding the evidence package I had sent in advance. When the police arrived, Fu Xi was being restrained by the crowd, while Su Rueruen lay collapsed on the ground, sobbing heart-wrenchingly. Mr. Fu Xi, MS, Su Wanwan, we have received a report that you are suspected of embezzlement, theft of trade secrets, defamation, and also, the officer paused and glanced at the other document I had provided. You are suspected of manslaughter. Please come with us. Fu Xi whipped around to look at me, his dark eyes fierce and venomous. I shook my phone at him with a deadpan expression. On the phone screen was Grandpa's medical record. The moment I saw the message Su Wanwan posted, I sensed something was off, so I went to the coroner in advance. The forensic examination revealed that Grandpa's time of death was 3 hours earlier than normal, which perfectly matched the moment Su Wanwan pinched the oxygen tube. The day Fu Xi and Su Wanwan were taken away, the campus forum of a medical university completely exploded. Someone dug up evidence that Fu Xi's paper for his professor evaluation was plagiarized. Someone released proof that Su Wanwan was being kept as a mistress off campus, and some students even came forward claiming they had been sexually harassed by Fu Xi. The school set up an investigation team overnight and issued a notice 3 days later: revoke all of Fu Xi's professional titles and honors, and recover the research funds he embezzled by abusing his position, expel Su Wanwan, record her academic misconduct in her file, and issue a public notice across all platforms. The dean who participated in the cover-up was dismissed and investigated, and all relevant personnel received varying degrees of disciplinary action. As for me, I received a notice to return to work after being suspended for a week. The day I returned to the lab, my team members spontaneously stood at the door and applauded. Someone's eyes welled up. Professor Shen, we knew you'd come back. I gazed at the familiar workstation, then at the newly cultured cells in the incubator, and took a deep breath. Alright, let's not waste time, our project is still waiting for a breakthrough. Over the next 6 months, I led my team in working around the clock, and we finally cracked the off-target effect challenge in CAR T-cell therapy for solid tumors. On the day our paper was published in a top international journal, I received countless congratulatory messages. One of them was from Qin Ji. "I knew my girl was a total boss. I booked you a dozen male models tonight, don't you dare miss it." At the celebration banquet, Qin Ji pushed aside the dozen or so attentive male models beside me mysteriously. He slipped an envelope into my hand. "Girl, here's the verdict for Fu Xi and Su Ruanruan. Just came through." I fiddled with it for a moment, then tossed it into the trash. Just trash people and trash situations, not worth my time to dwell on them. Seeing this, Qin Ji laughed heartily and clinked her glass against mine. "Yeah, that's the spirit. As a career-driven leading lady, we never give a damn about those rats in the gutter." I smiled, suddenly recalling a memory. After they were caught, Fu Xi made a huge fuss in prison, demanding to see me through the thick glass. He looked like nothing more than a hollow shell. His eyes were filled with venomous resentment. "Shenzi, did you plan this all along? Since when?" "Since the first time you put your name on my thesis." I looked at him calmly. "Fu Xi, I gave you countless chances. You chose to take the road to ruin yourself." Upon hearing this, Fu Xi's eyes were filled with sorrow. "Yeah, I always wanted to surpass you, but I forgot that you were never my rival. You were my goal." With those words, all the spirit seemed to drain from Fu Xi, and he slumped back into his seat. As for me, I didn't linger any longer. He turned and walked into the sunlight outside the prison. A year later, the CAR T-cell therapy developed by my team entered the clinical stage, and the condition of the first batch of cancer patients treated was effectively controlled. At the press conference, a journalist asked me, "Professor Shen, after everything you've been through, have your views on love and career changed?" I smile at the camera. "Love may betray you, but your career never will. The effort you put in is exactly what you'll get back." Of course, I still believe in love, but I no longer see it as the whole of life. After the press conference ended, I received an unexpected package. Inside are the property deed for Grandpa's old house and a letter. That letter was left for me by Fu Xi, who was in prison. "Zi, I've had the lawyer transfer the old house back to your name. Also, I want to ask you, if it weren't for Su Ruanruan, can we go back to how things were?" How naive. He still doesn't get it. Even if there were no Su Ruanruan, there would be a Li Ruanruan, a Mu Ruanruan, a Chen Ruanruan. What stood between us was never another woman, but his heart, which only knew petty comparisons and never self-reflection or the drive to catch up. I sneered as I tore up the envelope and handed the property deed to my parents, but my parents said they wanted to change it to my name. As a keepsake, I chuckled and shook my head. "I don't need it. Better leave it for the younger generation in the family. I can live a wonderful life on my own." 2 years later, my research achievements won the National Science and Technology Progress Award. On the podium, I looked down at my team members applauding for me, and at the patients on the screen who had regained a new lease on life after receiving treatment. It suddenly came to me that many years ago, my grandpa held my hand and said, "Gigi, no matter what happens in the future, always remember to keep moving forward and never look back. Yeah, don't look back." Those who hurt me, the tears I shed, the pain I endured in the dead of night, all have become medals of growth. Now I have a career I love, trusted partners, a healthy body, and a future full of endless possibilities. So keep moving forward. It's okay to take it slow. So, Shenzi, never, ever think about turning back. Forever walk on a path full of blooming flowers. Story 2. On the 10th year of fulfilling the marriage contract on behalf of my runaway sister, just because I sat on the chair she liked the most, I was pushed off a 3-story building by the child she left behind. My spine was broken and covered in blood. I begged him to call for help, but he sneered at me just like his father did. "You don't even deserve to use my mother's things. I'm telling you, you can never replace her. You still want someone to save you. I want to watch you become disabled and let my father kick you out of the house." I looked at this child, whom I had taken care of since he was in swaddling clothes, in disbelief. My heart ached as if being tortured. After being rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, I dialed a phone number abroad. "Professor, I'm willing to go abroad." Just as I finished the call, Gerald, my parents, and Jeffrey, who had a disgruntled expression, walked in. Jeffrey stared at me viciously. "Why should I apologize to this bitch? She sat on my mother's chair first. I just called out to her, and she was so scared that she fell off the building. There wasn't even any blood on her. I thought she was just acting again to deceive me." The more he spoke, the more unpleasant his words became. but none of the people beside him stopped him. They just looked at me coldly, their faces full of reproach. But I didn't defend myself as I used to. I just stared blankly out the window. Gerald, however, rebuked me. Helen, the child is talking to you, but you don't even look at him. Is this how you act as a mother? I sneered. Which child, upon seeing his own mother injured, doesn't even show a bit of concern and keeps swearing instead? Gerald's dissatisfaction grew deeper. That's because you haven't been good enough to Jeffrey. You often pretend to be pitiful to deceive him. Not good enough. Jeffrey had congenital deficiencies and often got sick. It was me who took care of him day and night. I learned acupuncture, massage, and how to cook nourishing soups and medicinal diets, and I became proficient in all of them. My slender fingers that used to play the piano became rough and swollen. When Jeffrey said he felt insecure, I stayed by his side without sleeping for 3 days and 3 nights. Unfortunately, Gerald couldn't see all these efforts, nor could Jeffrey. Gerald was still lecturing me. Helen, when you married into her family, I only had one request for you, which was to take good care of Jeffrey. Is that so difficult? If you can't do it well, let's get divorced. If you want a divorce, then let's get one. I don't want to be my wife anymore. Gerald stared at me in surprise, as if he didn't expect me to say such a thing. Well, after all, this marriage was something her family had begged for. When Ashley fulfilled the marriage contract and married Gerald, her first love returned from abroad. Ashley disappeared without a trace after giving birth to the child. Her family was furious, and my parents tricked me, who was still studying for a doctorate abroad. Back home they drugged me and sent me to Gerald's bed. The incident caused a big commotion, and with Jeffrey still a baby in need of care, Gerald had no choice but to marry me. However, we also made an agreement with a time limit of only 10 years. Once Jeffrey grew up, he would divorce me, but every time we quarreled, he would threaten me with divorce. Since that was the case, then let's get divorced. My parents, however, were the first to be outraged. Helen, what are you talking nonsense? How can you get a divorce? If you leave, who will take care of Jeffrey? Their extremely disappointed faces were the same as when I refused to give up the marriage for Ashley. When the marriage contract was made with her family, my mother was pregnant with me, so the person for the marriage alliance was naturally me. But later, Ashley was heartbroken by her first love and married out of spite. With just a word from my parents, I was asked to give up the marriage. Seeing that I didn't speak, my parents quickly added, "All right, this time you're also injured. We won't make you apologize to Jeffrey either. If you soften your attitude, we'll give you the key to the house, and you can come back whenever you want." After I married into the Gerald family and became the stepmother, they took away the key to my home. They also informed the security guards and the driver that I wasn't allowed to enter the house unless I was with Jeffrey. Helen, only when you have no home and no way out will you treat the Gerald family as your own home and Jeffrey as your own child. Later, even when I was driven out of the house by Gerald, who took his anger out on me, I begged at the door all night in the cold and rainy night, but they didn't let me in. Seeing that I didn't speak, Gerald thought I was moved. He said condescendingly, "All right, it's not a serious injury, don't be angry anymore. When you recover, I'll take you to take wedding photos." Over the years, I didn't even have a single group photo with him. Even if we were accidentally photographed together at a gathering, he would angrily scold me. But now, I don't want either family affection or love. I said indifferently, "No need, I'll be leaving next month." The ward instantly fell into a deathly silence, but soon, the anger of my parents and Gerald swept over. "Listen to what you're saying. What kind of words are these? Jeffrey is going to participate in the Olympiad in mathematics in a month. If you leave, who will take care of him and teach him? How can you, as a mother, be so heartless and abandon the child just to get back at us?" A mother. I looked at Jeffrey over there, and his eyes were full of resentment. For 10 years, he only ever called me Aunt Helen. In the past 2 years, he didn't even have a name for me and just called me a bitch. When Jeffrey first started learning to talk, he did call me mom, but when Gerald heard it, he flew into a rage instantly. He not only snatched the child away but also drove me out of the house. "Don't waste your efforts. Jeffrey will only have one mother in his life." Even though Ashley abandoned him, she was still the only one in Gerald's heart. Later, whenever Jeffrey called me mom, he would be lectured by Gerald. For 10 years, I lived like a nanny, but soon, everything would come to an end. I came back to my senses and looked at my parents and Gerald. "You said that I only deserved to occupy this position for 10 years. Now that the time is up, it's time for me to leave." My parents looked at me with a look of hating iron for not becoming steel. "No one is driving you away. Why are you bringing this up?" As always, they were only worried that the in-law relationship with the Gerald family would be severed and their business would suffer losses. Gerald, on the other hand, didn't look as relieved as I had expected. He frowned. What kind of reason is that? If you begged me a little, would I really drive you away? Alright, if you're worried about what others will say, I'll just post something on Moments, saying that you'll be my wife from now on. Although he agreed to let me in the house at the beginning, Gerald didn't even hold a wedding for me. When his friends or business partners came to the house, he would just casually introduce me as someone who warms the bed and takes care of the child. Everyone knew that I was just a canary who failed to climb into his bed. I had a good life for 10 years by relying on him, and once the time limit was up, I would be kicked out of the house. But what I cared about wasn't a title. I replied indifferently. The doctor said that I might be disabled this time. A woman with a limp doesn't deserve to be my wife, nor does she deserve to raise the next heir of his family. Gerald heaved a sigh of relief. Why are you worried about these things? With me around, who would dare to gossip about you? Besides, with the financial resources of the Gerald family, can't we hire a good doctor for you? He looked as if he had expected this. Thinking that I was just being angry and trying to be difficult, he continued on his own. Alright, stop talking angry words. You've been a housewife for 10 years, after leaving the Gerald family and her family. How will you live outside? Since you care so much, I'll ask my secretary to buy you a diamond ring later. We'll have a family dinner, and you'll be my wife. As for making it public, don't even think about it. What if Ashley sees it and refuses to come back? After saying that, he left with my parents and Jeffrey. He only left the secretary to deal with the matters regarding my treatment. Oh, and that ring given as charity. The secretary also had a superior attitude. Miss Helen, Mr. Gerald has only approved a budget of 1 million yuan for the ring, so we can only buy a ready-made one. If you don't know about these things, just choose the most expensive one. I'm doing you a favor by telling you that the jewelry counts as your personal property. Gerald thought that I was a vain woman who had tried hard to climb into his bed, so he only allowed me to get a living expense of 3,000 yuan from the housekeeper every month. Naturally, the secretary also thought that it was a great favor for Gerald to give me 1 million yuan. But today, I accidentally sat on that chair, a chair specially customized for Ashley by a master. It cost 10 million yuan in the master bedroom that I was never allowed to set foot in. There were things for Ashley worth no less than 1 billion yuan. I pushed away the tablet the secretary was using to show me the ring styles. You can choose it as you like. Anyway, that ring would be destroyed by Jeffrey in the end, just like all the things Gerald occasionally brought back for me, even if they were just some freebies. Moreover, I wouldn't wear it either. Just after I sent the secretary away, Jeffrey came back again. He opened the thermos box and splashed the boiling porridge at me. You'd better be smart and leave quickly, otherwise, the next time I'll splash sulfuric acid at you. He didn't have much strength, so the porridge all splashed onto the quilt, and only some of it splashed onto my arm. Obviously, it was the porridge that I got up early in the morning to cook for him yesterday, but now, it was still scaldingly hot. When Jeffrey saw that my arm was red, he left satisfied. The nurse came to change my bedding and apply medicine to me. Before leaving, she hesitated for a moment, and finally said to me, "Some children just can't be tamed no matter how much you care for them." I looked down at the bandages all over my body, and tears couldn't stop falling. Yes, even an outsider could understand this, but I believed that sincerity could be exchanged for sincerity. For 10 years, however, whether it was Gerald, who had been my childhood sweetheart, or Jeffrey, whom I had raised since he was a child, all I got in return for my sincerity was endless malice. I stayed in the hospital for more than half a month, and none of them came to visit me again. I hired a nurse and left the hospital in a wheelchair. When I went back to the Gerald family's house to get my things, I entered the door and saw those people who had ignored me all sitting in the living room, laughing and chatting merrily. The person surrounded in the middle was actually Ashley, who hadn't been heard from for 10 years. My parents hugged her tightly with red eyes. "Ashley, it's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. What do you want to eat? Mom and Dad will cook it for you." Jeffrey clung to her like a koala. "Mom, you're finally back. From now on, I'm no longer a child who has no one to care about." Gerald, who was as cold as an iceberg, also had a face full of joy. "Ashley, I knew that you definitely couldn't let go of me." They gathered around happily, as if the breakdown when Ashley left without a word was all fake. When my parents begged me to come back, one of them had a heart attack, and the other cried so much that their eyes were almost blind. They said that Ashley had no heart. I helped to rectify the company and resist the suppression from his family after they sent me to Gerald's bed, even though I knew that the Gerald family might be a pit of fire. I still, out of their pleadings, entered the Gerald family, and Gerald, because of Ashley's departure, became decadent and withdrawn, drinking alcohol every day. I held Jeffrey and stayed by his side without leaving, helping him out of the darkness. He vowed to me that he would definitely live a good life with me in the future. As for Jeffrey, when he first learned that he was abandoned by Ashley, he was greatly shocked and cried day and night. It was only after I repeatedly promised that I would never leave him that he gradually became cheerful, but 10 years of painstaking efforts couldn't compare to Ashley's change of heart. The sound of my entering the house attracted everyone's attention. My parents said with an embarrassed expression, "Helen, why didn't you call in advance when you came back?" They had an expression as if I was out of place and had disturbed their family reunion. I retracted my gaze and instructed the nurse to push me upstairs. "I couldn't get in touch with you, so I couldn't call." During these days in the hospital, there were some places where the family members needed to sign. I called them hundreds of times, but no one answered. Also, regarding the arrangements for Jeffrey and Gerald's daily life after I left, the messages I sent also disappeared without a trace. But now, they were blaming me for not saying in advance. Gerald's face looked a bit unpleasant. "All right. It was just a momentary oversight. You should go upstairs and rest. You just came back, so don't get tired." When had he ever been so considerate? He was just worried that I would disturb his reunion with Ashley, but I didn't care about these things anymore. Jeffrey, however, spoke sarcastically behind me. "Just leave. My mom is back, you vulgar woman. You're not even worth a single finger of my mom." Ashley over there was dressed up beautifully, and she was so delicate that even her hair was perfect. And she had long manicured nails. Indeed, she looked much more beautiful than me in my plain face and a sweatshirt. But I only stopped dressing up after taking care of Jeffrey. It wasn't just that I didn't have the time. I was also worried that my long hair would get tangled around his tiny fingers. I was concerned that my long fingernails might poke his delicate little face, and I was afraid that the perfume and cosmetics would irritate him. However, Jeffrey didn't care about any of these things. I ignored him and went straight upstairs. My supervisor called and talked to me about the previous arrangements. Finally, he asked worriedly, "Helen, have you really thought this through? After all, that's the child you've raised for 10 years, and Gerald, the relationship you've had since childhood, it should only have grown deeper over the past 10 years. So what?" As soon as Ashley showed up, "I had no place to belong here at all," I said firmly. "Professor, I've thought it through. I don't belong here." After hanging up the phone, I was silent for a long time. When I turned around, I saw Gerald, who had been standing there for I don't know how long. Seeing the panicked look on my face, Gerald sneered disdainfully. "All right, if you act any more, it'll be over the top. I made so much noise coming up here, and you're still pretending not to notice and talking on the phone like that, just because Ashley's back. You're playing the game of running away from home with me, aren't you?" Looking at his usual contempt, I felt a complex mix of emotions in my heart. Perhaps because I was about to leave, I thought of the past again. Gerald wasn't like this when he was a child. Back then, he trusted me unconditionally and followed me around. Even though my parents sent me to a boarding school 1,000 kilometers away from home because of Ashley, Gerald went on a hunger strike for 3 days and, at the risk of not getting his share of the family property, insisted that his family send him to my school. At that time, I thought that we could live happily ever after, like in a fairy tale. Even though I longed for my parents' love in my heart, I fought desperately for the marriage contract with him. But when I finally managed to escape from the basement where my parents had imprisoned me, what I saw was him putting a ring on Ashley in a grandly decorated auditorium. My parents told me that I couldn't compare to Ashley. Only after Gerald realized this did he choose Ashley. I tried my best to tell myself that it wasn't true, but the smile on Gerald's face as he held Ashley couldn't be faked. Later, when my parents begged me to go to the Gerald family to clean up Ashley's mess, the moment I nodded, there was a bit of selfishness mixed in. I thought that Gerald and I could go back to the way we were before, but 10 years of sarcasm and ridicule have made me realize in Gerald's eyes, there was indeed only Ashley. "Dad, why did it take you so long to come up here and ask that bitch to cook? Mom is still hungry downstairs." Jeffrey's voice woke me up from my thoughts. Gerald in front of me glanced at me. "All right, stop thinking about those petty tricks. Go and cook for Ashley. She specifically asked for the food you make. If you perform well, I can consider letting you stay here." I gripped the armrests of the wheelchair tightly, suppressing the anger in my heart. "I'm in this state, and you want me to cook for Ashley?" Jeffrey shrieked first. "You bitch, it's just a minor injury. And you have to pretend to be so pitiful. Just a minor injury. The doctor said that if I had been half an hour later, I would have been permanently disabled in Jeffrey's eyes. It was just a minor injury. Looking at the face that I had been with day and night for 10 years, it was now full of contempt and resentment towards me. I could no longer find the look of when he was a child, when he would hold me softly and say that he only wanted Aunt Helen. Jeffrey used to tell me every day that it must be God's mistake. The mother he chose in heaven was clearly me. Fortunately, God sent me back to his side, but I don't know when it started. He began to avoid me later. He looked at me like an enemy. However, all these entanglements were about to end. I suppressed my emotions. The two people in front of me looked like they wouldn't give up unless I cooked. A bitter feeling spread in my heart, and I said self-deprecatingly, "At least you can push me downstairs." Gerald sneered and called a servant to push me. "Don't look for excuses to get close to me." When we got to the kitchen, Ashley swaggered in to order dishes, acting like the mistress of the house. "Thank you, sister, for taking care of the Gerald family for me. When you leave, I'll ask Yunjo to give you more money. Just make the dishes casual today. You know my taste: bird's nest porridge, braised sea cucumber, king crab. Just make them simple." The servant beside her said carefully, "But these dishes are very complicated and will take a long time to make. It will take 4 or 5 hours just to prepare the ingredients, and you won't allow us to help." Ashley raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying that I don't deserve to eat these?" My parents' angry scolding came from outside. "Helen, your sister just came back. Do you have to do this because of such a small thing?" Even though I told myself repeatedly, facing their blatant favoritism, my heart still ached. However, this was the last time I stared at Ashley. "I'll be leaving tomorrow. You don't have to find ways to torture me anymore." Ashley's face lit up with joy. "You said it yourself, I didn't drive you away." "All right, then let the servant help you." Ashley went out amidst the eager calls from the people outside. I started cooking under the pitying gazes of the servants. Although someone else took care of the ingredients, it was really difficult for me to operate while sitting in a wheelchair. I don't know how long it took, and my legs even started to ache faintly again. Only then was the table full of dishes finally finished. When I left the kitchen, the villa was quiet. The butler came and looked at me with an embarrassed expression. 3 hours ago, Miss Ashley said she wanted to eat snacks, so Mr. Genold and the others all went out. I wasn't even the least bit surprised by this scene. I just nodded softly and asked the servant to push me upstairs to pack my luggage. The next day, just as the sun was rising, the car that came to pick me up arrived. Just as the car was about to start, the driver exclaimed, "Whose child is that?" I leaned out to take a look. It was Jeffrey standing in front of the car. The little figure stood there with a cold and solemn expression. He was still wearing yesterday's clothes, which were all wrinkled. The morning air was still cold, and his small body was shivering in the cold wind. My heart softened, and just as I was about to speak, he interrupted me. "Dad is right. You women just love to act. You must have sent someone to keep an eye on me. You knew I wanted to come back quietly to prepare a surprise for Mom, so you're putting on this act of leaving here. I'm telling you, I won't let you stay." Looking at his expression as if he had expected this, my heart completely turned cold. 10 years of time, it was all just an illusion. I instructed the driver, "Let's go." As soon as the car started, I heard a commotion coming from behind. Jeffrey instructed the servants to throw out all the things I had used. As if he still wasn't satisfied, he picked up a stick and smashed those things fiercely. As the car drove away, Jeffrey and the Gerald family's villa gradually disappeared from my sight. I softly said goodbye. It wasn't them that I was saying goodbye to. It was the obsession that I had never let go of in the past 10 years. When I was about to board the plane, I took out my phone. I found that there were many calls from Gerald and my parents on my phone, which had been on silent since they couldn't get through to me. My parents also sent a long string of messages. "Helen, since Ashley is back, you should leave. The farther you go, the better. After all, this is Ashley's home. We'll let it go for the help you gave before, but it's really inappropriate for you to stay here now." After reading the message, I silently blocked them. As for Gerald, after thinking it over and over again, I still called him back. "Helen, stop making trouble. I'll just buy you another set of the things that Jeffrey smashed for you. You're sitting in a wheelchair like this and can't do anything. How many days can you stay outside? Come back. The Gerald family can still afford to support you." Even now, he still thought that I was just trying to be difficult and throwing a tantrum. I chuckled softly. "Gerald, do you think it sounds good for an elder sister to live in her brother-in-law's house?" There was a moment of silence on the other end, and then he said indifferently, "I'll just find you a fake marriage partner then. No one will gossip if we all live together as a family." How ridiculous. I laughed until tears came to my eyes. "Gerald, I don't have to be with you. The announcement urging passengers to board the plane sounded at the airport. Gerald on the other end was a bit angry and frustrated. "You've been with me for 10 years. Do you really think someone will want you if you go out? Alright, stop pretending at the airport. I'll give you an hour, hurry up and come back to me. Ashley and Jeffrey are still waiting for you to cook for them." I hung up the phone without hesitation. I took out the SIM card and threw it into the trash can without hesitation. The plane took off and faced the brilliant morning sun above the clouds in the orange-red light. I let out a deep breath. From now on, it will be a new life. The professor arranged for someone from the research institute to pick me up at the airport. He specifically told me that this person was now the pillar of the research institute. He would tell me about the latest research progress on the way. I just thought it was an honor given to me by the professor. Unexpectedly, it was someone I knew. I looked at my junior brother in front of me, who had long since lost his youthful look. His eyes were full of joy when he saw me. Malcolm handed the flowers to me. "Senior sister, long time no see." Yes, it had been a long time. For 10 years, I had lived in the Gerald family's villa, which was like a cage. I never expected the power of 10 years to be so great. The junior brother who used to follow me and ask me all sorts of things was now the pillar of the research laboratory. My eyes turned red. "Yes, junior brother, long time no see. But now I'm afraid I should call you Professor Malcolm." Malcolm smiled easily. "Senior sister, don't make fun of me. If you hadn't left back then, it wouldn't have been my turn at all." It turned out that when my family forced me to give up the marriage contract with Gerald, it happened to be the crucial stage of a major project. I ran back without hesitation, but all I got was Gerald's change of heart. When I came back again, that project had also been completed. Fortunately, God showed mercy, and the research laboratory got another project. The professor specifically asked me to take the lead. As long as I made a breakthrough, my academic career in the future would be smooth sailing. But Ashley ran away, my parents threatened to die, and Gerald was indulging in decadence. In the end, I softened my heart. Once I went, I didn't expect it to be 10 years. Sitting in the car, I listened to Malcolm's detailed introduction, but I felt extremely unfamiliar with it. After being out of touch for 10 years, I was indeed too far away from this world. My former junior brother had become someone that I could only look up to. This made me even more surprised that the professor hadn't given up on me. He was willing to give me a chance to come back. I looked at Malcolm and said with difficulty, "Professor Malcolm, I don't quite understand." Malcolm was taken aback, and then he smiled easily. "Senior sister, don't call me that. It makes me feel several years older all of a sudden. If it's not convenient for you to call me junior brother in the institute, you can just call me Malcolm." Looking at his bright smile, I felt even more dejected. "In the institute, with my current level, I'm afraid I won't be able to go back." Malcolm didn't try to comfort me either. He just sighed. "Ah, senior sister, then I'm in trouble. Now there's a project at a crucial stage of tackling key problems. But we've been working hard for a year and still have no direction." I was thinking that this is exactly your main research direction before. "As soon as you come, we can solve it." I could tell the deliberate joking in his words, but the heaviness in my heart still dissipated a bit. However, I still had to say the unpleasant words. After all, in these 10 years, apart from doing laundry, cooking, and taking care of the child, I hadn't learned anything new. The only thing engraved in my bones was that no one needed me. Gerald was like this, and so was Jeffrey. Even my own parents were the same. Rather than making the professor and Malcolm embarrassed later, it was better to make things clear now. The current progress has advanced so much compared to before, and I'm no longer the same as I used to be. "Malcolm, you'd better not." Malcolm stopped the car and stared at me seriously. "Helen, don't think that I'm just saying polite words, or think that the professor is pitying you. There's only one reason for you to come back. You play an indispensable role in the Institute's project. Even after 10 years, your knowledge is still there. You're still our most talented senior sister. You have to believe that you deserve it." The certainty and sincerity in his words hit me in the chest. I was so stunned that I couldn't say anything. Could it be that someone actually needed me? They needed me just because of who I was. Tears rolled down uncontrollably, meeting Malcolm's expectant gaze. I nodded firmly. "I also believe that I can do it, and I deserve it." Malcolm smiled. "Helen, this is the you that I know. I've sorted out the materials from the past few years and the accommodation arranged for you. While you're catching up on the progress, you can also recover from your injury. If you don't understand anything, come and ask me. Don't be afraid to trouble me." Outside the car window, those somewhat unfamiliar foreign scenes gradually became familiar again. I remembered when I was doing my PhD, I took Malcolm to climb the tallest building in This city, overlooking the prosperity of this city, I asked Malcolm, "Do you believe that I can change the world?" Before Malcolm could answer, I shouted towards the night sky, "I definitely will, yes, I definitely will." The wish I made when I was young is now waiting for me to fulfill it. The days of catching up on the progress and learning new things were very busy, but I didn't feel tired at all. After Malcolm caught me staying up late to read the material several times, he directly moved next door to me to supervise me. "Helen, with this way of yours, how can your leg get better?" I had no choice but to follow the regular schedule under his supervision. I also had to go for walks in the park from time to time. Malcolm also had his reasons. Breathing fresh air is helpful for generating inspiration. Even the 3 meals a day were all taken care of by him at first. I thought it would be good enough if he could cook noodles and fry an egg, but what was placed in front of me was a meal of 4 dishes and 1 soup that looked and smelled delicious, and they were all my favorite dishes. Although I was surprised, I didn't think too much about it. After all, there weren't many delicious foods abroad. Even my cooking skills were honed when I was studying abroad. At that time, Malcolm used to mooch off my meals every day. I guessed that he just cooked the dishes that I often made back then, taken care of by Malcolm. My leg recovered quickly. After more than a month, I could walk on the ground, but except when I was doing rehabilitation exercises, Malcolm still made me sit in a wheelchair. It takes 100 days to recover from an injury to the muscles and bones. What's more, you were so seriously injured and must rest for a longer time. I couldn't find any words to refute him. I was just thinking that this was what it felt like to be cared for by someone. No wonder Gerald didn't want to let me go even though Ashley had come back. In fact, during the past 10 years, the care and attention I gave him could be described as meticulous. This thought flashed through my mind for a moment and then was thrown to the back of my head. There were still so many academic materials to read. Those people weren't worth my time and effort. They didn't even deserve a single thought from me. Just as I was all prepared and about to officially return to the research institute, Gerald blocked the door of my house. He also brought Jeffrey, who was crying his eyes out. As soon as I opened the door, Jeffrey rushed up and hugged me. You're a big badass. How could you run so far away? Dad and I have been looking for you for a long time. Do you know that?" I was speechless and looked down, gently pushing Jeffrey away. "Don't do this, I don't like children." Jeffrey stood there in a daze, his face full of disbelief. Indeed, in the past, I had never refused any of his requests, not to mention saying something like I didn't like children. Jeffrey wrinkled his nose, and big tears rolled down his face. You weren't like this before." I didn't even look at him. "You said it yourself, that was in the past." Facing my coldness, Gerald didn't scold me. Instead, he coaxed me softly. "Helen, I know you're still angry. If you're not happy, just scold him a few more times. It's all this brat's fault for being so reckless. He hurt your body and your heart, which drove you away. Punish him well. When you've cooled down, come back with us." Listening to his senseless words, my expression became even colder. "Are you two father and son deaf? When did I ever tell you that I wanted to go back?" After I refuted him several times, Gerald finally became unhappy. "All right, there's a limit to throwing a tantrum. You left without a word, and Jeffrey and I even came all the way abroad to find you. What else do you want?" In the past 10 years, I had endured so many cold words and looks, but now, with just one word from me, Gerald couldn't take it anymore. I was too lazy to pay attention to him and pushed him aside to leave. Malcolm had gone to the research institute early, saying that he wanted to prepare a welcome ceremony for me. I couldn't let down his kindness, but Gerald grabbed me. "Sorry, Helen, I didn't react in time just now, so I spoke to you like that." Yes, over the past 10 years, he had gotten used to sneering at me, but the apology and the show of weakness now were also things I had never seen before. As proud as Gerald was, he had never bowed his head for anyone, even for Ashley. He had never admitted his fault, however. I didn't care about these things now. I coldly shook off Gerald's hand. "Don't waste your time on me. There's already one mistress in your house. Ashley, why do you have to bring me, a burden, back?" During the past half year, I thought that Ashley should have reconciled with him long ago, and Jeffrey had also found his long-awaited biological mother, but now, Gerald fell into an eerie silence and Jeffrey sniffled and started crying again. "She ran away. She cheated Dad out of his money and ran away again. She also swindled all of Grandpa and Grandma's family property." As he cried, Jeffrey rolled up his sleeve and revealed his still bruised arm. Look. She also hit and scolded me. She said I'm just a debt collector and not as good as her child with Uncle Shin at all." "Sorry, Mom, I was wrong. I didn't know it would hurt so much to be injured. It was all my fault back then. I shouldn't have pushed you. Gerald also took out a ring with red eyes and knelt down on one knee. In front of me, Helen, I just realized who is truly sincere to me now. Come back, I'll give you a marriage 10 times grander than Ashley's and make you the legitimate my wife. The things I had longed for were all presented in front of me, but I suddenly felt bored. I even felt a bit disgusted. 10 years hadn't won me their true feelings, but just half a year of comparison made them realize my goodness, this kind of change of heart only made me feel nauseous without even looking at them. I turned around and left. I don't have the hobby of collecting second-hand trash. Oh, no, if you think about it carefully, you two are already third-hand. Gerald was about to chase after me, but the security guards downstairs came and stopped him. When I arrived at the research institute, I was a few minutes late. I apologized with regret, and fortunately, everyone didn't mind when they heard that someone had blocked my way. They all gave me suggestions one after another. Malcolm also frowned. It seems that the security there is not good. All sorts of people can get in. I'll take you to move tomorrow to prevent those irrelevant people from harassing you. Just as I was about to speak, Gerald's voice came from behind me. I'm her husband. How am I an irrelevant person? Gerald's eyes were full of anger. He stared fixedly at Malcolm. So, it's because of this pretty boy that you abandoned me and the child. Malcolm also turned cold. He first sent his colleagues away and then said to Gerald, show some respect. Gerald became even angrier. You're seducing my wife, and you still have the nerve to ask me to show respect. Malcolm was so angry that he laughed. Is she your wife? Do you have a marriage certificate? Gerald didn't give in at all. She has lived with me for 10 years. I've seen every part of her. Isn't she my wife? Pretty boy, I'm telling you, this is called a de facto marriage. The relationship between me and her isn't something that can be decided by just a piece of paper. As soon as he said these blatant words, I felt extremely embarrassed. Yes, those 10 years were the time that I couldn't erase. When I talked about it with Malcolm and the others usually, it was just a few words, but now he had torn off that fig leaf. He exposed all my most embarrassing past in front of others, but Malcolm didn't show the slightest bit of disgust. He gave me a comforting look, stood in front of me, and blocked all of Gerald's gazes. Oh, then you're committing bigamy. As far as I know, you and Ashley haven't divorced, have you? Gerald's words were stuck in his throat. Malcolm continued unhurriedly, and I didn't ask you to show respect to me. I asked you to show respect to Helen. Is this how you usually make her feel embarrassed in front of others? Under such circumstances, how can you still say that she's your wife? I think you're more polite to your servants than to her. I was taken aback and looked at Malcolm's tall back. An indescribable emotion welled up in my heart. Gerald stammered for a long time and couldn't come up with a single word of refutation. Finally, he could only say dejectedly, I'll change. I'll treat Helen well in the future. I stepped forward and said firmly, but I don't want that, Gerald. I've already wasted 10 years on you. I don't want to continue anymore. Gerald looked as if he was about to collapse. I know, but, Helen, you have to give me a chance to make amends, just like I gave you. I was confused. What chance of making amends did you give me? Gerald looked at me deeply, his eyes full of complexity. Back then, you ran away on our wedding day. If it weren't for Ashley stepping in, I would have become the laughingstock of the whole city. I frowned deeply. Before I could figure out what he meant, Malcolm spoke up. Gerald stared at me in surprise, as if he didn't expect me to say such a thing. Back then, she gave up a project that was crucial to her future career in order to go back to you. She was even locked in the basement by her parents for a whole month. Go back and check carefully who tricked you back then. Gerald was stunned as if struck by lightning. Do you mean that Helen didn't abandon me? I didn't answer, but just said, it's all in the past. I just hope that you won't come to find me again in the future. Jeffrey understood and burst into tears. Mom, you can't abandon me. I squatted down for the last time and wiped the tears from his face. This is the last lesson I teach you. You have to take responsibility for your actions. After saying that, I turned around and entered the research institute. I didn't look back at the two dejected people behind me, perhaps out of guilt. They didn't show up again later. They did send a video of my parents' apology, but I turned it off after watching the beginning. The research institute also received a huge amount of research funding, which was specifically designated for me. I didn't decline and accepted it. They owed me this in the first place. With the funding, the project progressed smoothly. On the day when we announced the research results and held a press conference, I gave a speech on behalf of the institute. In the audience, the haggard Gerald held Jeffrey, and the two of them stared at me without blinking. But after the event ended, the two of them didn't come to find me, they just sent a bouquet of flowers. In the greeting card tucked in the flowers was the regular script that I had taught Jeffrey stroke by stroke. Mom, I wish you all the best and great success. There was also a small line of words next to it, and I'm sorry, this is the last time I call you Mom. You're right, you don't belong to me and Dad. I smiled softly and put the greeting card in my bag. The 10-year entanglement was finally over at this moment. From now on, it would be my brand new life.